And we are live, Mr. Gracey Show 88.
What's up?
Yo, audience out there, if you are watching, hit that little share button right to your right. Share it the fuck up, people.
Share, like, comment. Come on.
Yeah, baby. And if you don't share and you're watching, we know who you are. And our producer is BTK Jr., so look out.
A particular set of skills.
That's right. That's right. I don't want to do this to you on the show, Chad, and blow up your spot, but I did figure out what you and your shady band were up to in the 90s and what was going on in the 2000s. Yeah.
90s and 2000s? Oh, boy.
Yep. Specifically 94 and 2001. Any of those dates ring a bell in your brain?
Yes, those are, yes, they're very popular dates.
You're being coy. They are two tragic dates in the history of America, 9/11, 2001, and I think April 18th or 20th, 94.
Yes.
Tragedy.
Tragic, yet popular.
Yes. Well, here's the deal. So as those two sad tragedies hit, whose band comes on with the healing music for the time and to get America past it?
That will be us somehow.
Yeah. So
Our
talk to me,
got
dude.
picked up. Well, we are CIA assets. Sorry, I have to break it to everybody, but we work for the CIA. They put us together in 1985 when we were 12 years old. They recruited us into the CIA.
And it was
here we are.
And it was your plan the entire time to get Trump into office and fuck America up here.
Exactly. Yes. That was the whole plan. And then and then Ed was he's further into it now with the CIA. That's why he got rid of us. So
yeah. I love it, dude. And it's so crazy that the CIA couldn't recreate the magic they did when they put the four of you together at this new.
Yeah, so weird.
Like they got this new iteration. It's like, they can't recreate the lightning. Funny.
Some reason, they just can't seem to do it without the three of us there.
Hysterical.
This happened around 99, 2000 when the magic stopped. CIA couldn't make us make good music anymore.
Yeah. So what happened? Did one of you become a double agent, and then the fucking craziness ensued, and then separate ways?
I think the CIA looked more into Ed, and I think the Chinese also are using them. So
yeah. They didn't realize that's what it was, dude. It was China stole Ed from the US and CIA. They were like, dude, we got this, bro. Look, this is China. This is what we do. We take America's good shit, we knock it off.
That's right.
And then it sells just as good. But they couldn't do it with your music, dude.
Couldn't do it. Well, also, I think since the Dems are now like basically MS-13 fucking advocates, I think I think Ed got recruited by the MS-13 too.
Dude, I did not realize how, because you keep telling me about the dude from Venezuela and like how serious it was, like leader MS-13, and like I'm hearing you, but I'm also kind of saying like, was it after the fact? Even though you told me it wasn't, this is so blatant that they're just like, because again, I keep having these feelings like they can't be that evil, they cannot be lying to us this bad.
Oh, I know.
Just lie straight up from the
get, and
they knew it,
and they're making this guy a martyr. And he's a complete piece. He's a complete shitbag, and he's an illegal alien. He's a resident of friggin' El Salvador. He beat his wife. He's an MS-13 member.
Yeah,
he's human trafficked. I mean, all this shit, and he's been through. They keep saying, well, we want to bring him back for due process. He's been through due process.
Right.
2 judges.
But does anybody ask them these questions? Because when you say that, like what could an answer possibly? Like, does anybody call them out in this? Like, why are you trying to bring back somebody who wasn't born in this country?
I haven't seen any hard hitting interviews because they do interviews with the MSM, so it's like they don't ask him the hard questions. They just say, "Well, he's a Maryland dad. We got to bring him home for his family." It's like, no. Like why? And they now you have and they're using taxpayer dollars to fly down there to see him.
Yeah. I don't think I approve that.
Blatantly admitting it. Yeah, it's paid by. It's just like most of our trips. They're paid for by the taxpayer. So we're paying for your dumb ass to fly down there and sit with a friggin' MS-13 member who you think you're going to bring back, who then will ultimately be deported anyway. What is the purpose of this?
I wish I knew. I really wish I fucking knew.
The only thing is TDS. That's the only purpose. We gotta rebel against Trump. It's like they opened the borders for 4 years. Now Trump has closed the borders, and now what they're trying to do is bring back people that he's deporting.
Right. But
and fighting every deportation that they can. I mean, it's just like, what are the Democrats doing? Why do people vote for this? And why do the people that support them not understand what is happening?
Yeah, that's like those are all questions that need to be answered.
It's always like, oh, it's for human rights and they're people and blah blah blah. No. They are people. They do have human rights, but they don't have constitutional rights in our country because they're illegal. Sorry, get them out.
Period. End of story.
End of story. And you hear Obama talk about this, you hear Hillary talk about this, but before Trump came into the picture, they were all for it. And you never heard anybody crying then. Never heard any senators going to El Salvador trying to rescue Democratic senators trying to rescue a friggin' MS-13 member and bring him back to the United States. When Obama did it, when Hillary was talking about it, when Clinton did it, I mean, Bill Clinton, what is the purpose of this other than just to go against Trump?
Do you think the Obamas are still together?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just fucking nuts, man. And there's no end in sight, which is the crazy part. And the real crazy part is it doesn't seem like they have a way to win an election, and there's still no end in sight. So it's like either they're making a one-party system for us, or
they're double and tripling down on stupid. It's just wild. And now they're elevating AOC into the top spot. Yeah, let's run her. Woo! It's like they keep picking the most ridiculous women to run for president.
Right.
And then they blame everybody and say it's misogyny and or you're racist or whatever whatever pejorative they want to throw at you, but it's just you're picking really shitty candidates every time.
Like you could have had Tulsi Gabbard if you fucking played your card right.
Exactly. A centrist Democrat. You could have had one of those, but instead you're going far left. You keep going further left, and you don't ever course correct.
But the thing is, like, I understand if you do that, if it's like the popular thing to do. So like as a politician, then of course, go with that fucking thinking. But when it's the least popular thing and it just shows you want to line your own pockets and just have your interests looked after.
It's only popular with the most vocal, smallest percentage of the Democrat Party.
Right.
And that's why they do it, because that small percentage of all these woke retards is very vocal on social media, on the news. The news likes to put them on the news. It's like, oh my God, look at this. They're saving they're firebombing freaking Tesla dealerships. They're saving America, okay, from the evil oligarchy. And that fucking what's his name is on the oligarchy tour. Bernie Sanders is like, we're fighting the oligarchy. There's like a whole montage of him saying this for like 30 years. We're fighting the oligarchy. Shut up while he's flying on his private jet, owning his 3 houses. He's fighting the oligarchy and he's fighting the rich of 1%, which he is part of. It is ridiculous beyond compare. The candidates that these people pick are just dumb at this point.
Yeah.
Not dumb people. They're smart people because they know how to manipulate the system, but it's just a dumb choice.
Right. I guess manipulation, and if you're good at it, makes you smart, but it also fucking makes you evil.
For sure.
Like, but that's the thing. Like, I don't understand how smart people could then go and do stuff like that, because I don't know. I guess evil isn't stupid.
I just have to think that most of these, people that I know that are Democrats just are still holding on to this centrist Democrat thing that doesn't exist anymore. That's all I can think about. But then I see some of them defending the crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, you hate Trump. I get that. But how can you defend crazy? How can you defend and even put forth an effort to go, oh yeah, Obregon Garcia needs to come back to the United States? Why?
Right.
Why?
Right. And fucking now it's come out from the White House that the COVID-19 was 100% leaked from the lab.
Duh.
And Fauci funded that fucking lab, dude. So it's
I've been
like
saying that from the beginning.
Yeah.
I read that article in May of 2020, all about it.
Right. And now he's got a pardon, dude. So if Biden preemptively pardoned him, he knew something was up. So it shows there was a huge fucking conspiracy against the world at that point. And who knows, dude? The fact that they leaked it out of the China lab might have mean that they wanted to pass the buck off on China for something shady that the U.S. was doing. I think this thing goes fucking deep, 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 and they need to fucking Luigi Mangione fucking Fauci. Yeah, I said it, and I meant it. I stole my mama credit.
He is actually, yeah, and that's the funny thing they keep saying about, oh, Elon's not elected. Well, was Fauci elected to anything?
Nah.
Fuck no. And what'd he do to your life? What did Fauci do to your life compared to what Elon's doing to your life?
Right. Yeah.
And you're worried about Elon not being elected. Let unelected Fauci destroyed your life, locked you in your house, made you wear masks, fucking made you not be able to go see your dying grandmother. That was Fauci. That's Fauci.
Yep.
But he's cool. This is how the left works. It's like the good guys are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys. It is insane. I mean, just look at this Carmelo Anthony shit now. Like, he's the good guy. The kid down in Texas who stabs the white kid in the heart and kills him, right?
Yeah, I don't know his name. I know the basketball player.
Carmelo Anthony, that's his name. So this guy stabbed somebody in the heart. They're calling it self-defense. They're making up all this bullshit for him. And again, what they do is they put on a pedestal the shitty bad person is the good guy.
Yeah.
Always with the left. Every friggin' time. It is ridiculous. And it's just I don't know how Democrat supporters continue to fall for this bullshit. They continue to fall for these narratives that then become false every time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that story to the fullest, but you are on top of it more than I am. So,
well, the more that comes out about it, the more you're just like, yeah. I mean, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, black kid stabs a white kid in the heart, kills him. That's fucked up. That's shitty. And then now it's coming out. Oh, he was self-defense, and he.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was, if it was what? It's self-defense.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay,
I don't think it's self-defense.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. If it was, though, you're saying things are coming out now. If it's self-defense,
no, they're claiming it was self-defense. They're trying to say it was self-defense.
Gotcha. Oh, I mean, if it was, then justified. But if not, like I think I said it last week, like I don't know the story.
Justified at a high school track meet in a whole crowd, and one person touches your backpack and you stab him in the fucking heart. That's self-defense.
Listen, I'm going to tell you the reverse situation because again, I don't know this, so I'm playing fucking, making up stories here. If I was one white dude and I was surrounded by fucking 5 black dudes and I was getting bullied and getting pushed by one person. Yeah, I might fucking, and I had a knife, I might fucking pull one out and be like, yo, motherfucker. Yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
If you're being picked on by 4 or 5 people and you got a weapon, yeah. I mean, who's the original aggressor? That's the problem. And if it was 5 white dudes on a black guy, again, I don't know the story, just playing devil's advocate, throwing out other scenarios that could make it justifiable. But I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, well, you could be right. I don't know.
But what I do know is that if you want AIDS, there's a good product for it, and it will help you lose weight. Have you ever heard of this, Chad?
AZT?
Close. Let me see here. This was a fucking 1982 commercial, I think before AIDS became popular.
I've tried fad diets, powders, pills. Still, my weight's been up and down like a yo-yo until the AIDS plan taught me how to take off weight and help keep it off.
AIDS may taste like a candy, but AIDS contains one of the most effective appetite suppressants you can buy. And there's no stimulant in AIDS that could make you nervous.
With AIDS, I ate less, so the weight came off. To help keep it off when I sometimes want things loaded with calories, AIDS helps put me in control.
Let the AIDS plan teach you how to take off weight and help keep it off. Try peanut butter AIDS.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
When did that come out?
It says 82. Was it
when did AIDS hit?
I don't know. Bobby, look it up.
Oh, my God. That's friggin' hilarious.
Like, talk about a really bad, name for something to pick before,
Yeah. I was like, you come out with a weight loss pill called COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. What did AIDS stand for? Oh, autoimmune deficiency syndrome or something was why they caught it to AIDS. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, the reason why I played that was one, the funny, but two, we're talking about Fauci, and he was the big douchebag back then that caused basically.
Oh, he's the one that foisted AZT on everybody that ended up killing everybody.
Right.
Like anyone that took AZT, a lot of them died. I don't know anybody, but a lot of them died from it.
Well, from what I'm hearing, AZT was a chemotherapy medicine that they took off the market because people were getting sick on it. And and chemotherapy is made to like be taken in doses, not to live on. And they were, and then since it was horrible for them, the chemo people, they started prescribing it to the AIDS people to be on indefinitely, and they were just dying, dude.
Yep.
Like how evil, man.
It's fucking evil. That's like remdesivir. They put people on remdesivir and they fucking died. They put them on ventilators, they died. And they'll say, "Oh, we didn't know at the time." Blah blah blah. It's like, well, then why'd you pay people more? Like in the hospitals, they were paying different levels to the hospital. So if someone came in with COVID, they got paid. If someone got admitted with COVID, they were paid more. If someone got put on remdesivir, they got paid more. If someone got put on a ventilator, they got paid more. And if someone died, then they got paid more.
Oh shit, that's so evil.
What's the incentive?
Money. Yo, Chad, you see this? Bobby says AIDS came out in 1970, bro. So this fucking product is retarded as fuck, man.
Yeah, but well, when was it widely?
So nobody knew about it. But still, as a company putting shit out, like, wouldn't you check your name? Like, I guess there was no Google search back then, but yeah.
Well, they had that Y in there, so that would differentiate.
Right. That's true. That is true. Let's have some fun here, Mr. Gracey, and bring on our next guest, Mr. Flat Earth Dave, ladies and gentlemen. Flat Earth Dave on the Gracious 2. What up, dude?
What's going on, guys? I got a couple comments. The AIDS thing, I remember that. AIDS was a diet pill that came out, was getting really popular, and then AIDS hit the news.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, wow, that's bad timing, you know? Yeah. And they disappeared immediately.
Yeah, we were trying to think exactly when AIDS, like, the AIDS epidemic hit the news, because the AIDS pill came out in 82.
So the AIDS gum or whatever it was came out a year, maybe 2 years, or sometime before. Not a whole lot. It was getting really popular, and then AIDS came out, and we're like, well, there goes that.
That was funny. Your marketing.
And then I want to throw one thing about COVID.gov.
Yeah.
They're admitting that it was gain of function. They're admitting that it wasn't from Wuhan. They're admitting all of these things, but what they're not admitting is that they want you to still believe that there's a bug out there that'll kill you. They want you to still believe in the boogeyman, right? The boogeyman doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's a limited hangout. It's a limited hangout.
Interesting.
Agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave, with what you just said there, you sound highly intelligent.
I am.
So I gotta ask: is this Flat Earth Dave thing a put on, or you dead ass with this?
So how much time do we have? Because I need to
for you, Dave. For you, Dave, all the time in the world.
All right, so let's take it slow here. And by the way, I had the same attitude when I first heard about Flat Earth. I ridiculed the people. I refused to watch a 2-minute video. I thought it was the dumbest crap ever. And I was like, did you go to school? Were you homeschooled? What's up with that? So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How have you looked into Flat Earth?
Oh yeah, dude. So check it out. When I first saw these Flat Earth videos, I was convinced the Earth was flat just by the way they presented the facts and the information.
Sure.
And then, my spidey senses kicked in and I realized, like, wait a second here. They could kind of put anything out that way and I'd believe it. But
what was your number one thing that made you think the Earth was flat?
I guess like you kind of could see a little curvature in a plane if you've ever been up and in the pilots.
You can't see any curvature from a plane. By the way, is my microphone on? Can you hear that?
You're on.
Okay.
So when I was about 12 years old, I got to go into the pilot's chair of an airplane. And you at 35,000 feet can 100%. It's very, very over a time, but you could absolutely see. It's not like a rainbow, but you could absolutely see a curvature. And that was just, seeing. But as far as like the round and how, just like stars, the other planets, the moon, the sun, everything else in our solar system.
So you've done no research into Flat Earth.
Yeah.
You have to understand what you're seeing, and they get you with this curvature. That you think you see curvature. Even if we lived on a ball, you wouldn't see curvature. You would see a circle. Like if you put your head in the middle of a hula hoop,
right?
That edge of the hula hoop is your horizon, and it's curved.
Yeah.
And your brain is telling you that is Earth curve. That's just vision curve. You see the same distance in all directions, right? Perspective brings the horizon together. That's where the sky appears to meet the land. So if I'm looking forward, we'll call that 12 o'clock. And
but you're doing a hula hoop. That's a flat disc. You got to give me a ball here, dude. It
doesn't matter. On a flat Earth, let's say we can see 3 miles or 30 miles. I don't care. Right. Whatever that horizontal eye zone is, you can see at 12 o'clock that distance, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You see the same distance, connect all those points, and that is a circle. Yep. Your programming will tell you that's a sphere, but you're really just seeing a circle.
Let me ask you this. If you were to take pictures from 35,000 feet in a plane, right? Pictures outside of the window, and then I drew a straight line on the horizon, and that straight line went straight, but just a very little bit, you saw the Earth curve. What would that mean? Because there are those pictures that are very prevalent that you can see. That's one. Pilots, if you've ever spoken to pilots, they account for the curvature. 2, snipers account for the curvature. Maybe there's wind, maybe there's other stuff.
We're going to take these one by one. Let's go through them all. But everything you said is absolutely wrong. I talked to American Airlines pilots, Delta pilots, Qantas pilots, and many of them know. Many.
Get the pilot on. We got somebody, sir. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So here's what I was just discussing. So this is your view, how you see the world, right? So if you're standing here, you see the same distance in all directions.
Yeah.
Right. And then if I drew a straight line across there, it's going to show curvature, right? Because we don't see in we see forward in straight lines, but we don't see across in straight lines. So if I drew a straight line here, or I compress this picture, you're going to see a curvature. And that's what the trolls like to show you. And in reality, look, so this line shows curvature, but this is just a flat Earth. This is a flat Earth view. This is the limit of your vision. So there's your curve. So take that one off of your list of reasons that that the Earth is curved. All right. So you can take that one off. What else were you talking about?
Snipers.
So the longest sniper shot was done a year or 2 ago, and it was 4 miles. And we talked to the guy, and he said he calculated air temperature, humidity, wind, drop, but never took in Coriolis. So the whole Coriolis thing is ridiculous. And if you're shooting,
I have ex-brother-in-law.
Nobody calculates for Coriolis. It doesn't make any sense, because you'd have to know your exact latitude, because at the equator, how fast are you spinning?
Do you think a sniper doesn't know their exact latitude and longitude lines, dude? Come on.
Well, you have to know.
Yeah.
If you're on the equator,
everything for sniping.
If you're on the equator,
right?
How fast are you spinning?
1,048 miles per hour.
Very close. Very good. So if you're in New York City, how fast are you spinning?
Well, if you're closer to the pole, a little bit slower. Like
500 miles an hour.
Yeah,
whatever. Halfway to the pole would be about half the speed. And then if you're shooting north, that would be one calculation. If you're shooting slightly off of north, you'd have to calculate an infinite number of possibilities. Snipers do not account for Coriolis. The longest shot in the world, which was in the air for like 20 seconds or something, they did not account for it. So take that one off your list.
So you can't just tell me.
Doesn't naval gunfire, like battleships, count for Coriolis?
No, because
26 miles.
The rail gun, which is shot off of a ship, can target with a laser pointer another ship over 100 miles away. At 100 miles away, there would be 6,600 feet of a hump of water in between them, but they can see them and hit them with a line drive projectile. Right? Line drive projectile, they do not account for curvature, because they can see the target, which would be behind a mountain over a mile tall, a mountain of water, and they can see it and they can hit it. So take that one off your list.
You can't just tell me non-fact and then take it off.
Well, no. So, by the way, don't believe anything I say. All right, I'm going to show you where to get testimony and see that these are absolutely true. There's a video. There's a video by a whole bunch of military guys called Flatten the Curve, not Behind the Curve, which is a hit piece on Netflix that everybody's seen, but it's called Flatten the Curve. And if you go on my website, you go down to the crash course, it's right there and it's free. Just watch it and learn.
Now, the real question, Dave.
Yeah.
How do you explain Katy Perry's pictures from space? She was just there.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I want to talk about that because that is the best thing ever.
And then just the number two with that. How does everybody who has been there, every government involved, keep the secret? So those two, go ahead.
Yeah. So all of the space agencies in the world are all run by NASA, whether you believe it or not. Just when you see, they're all there. There's not division by countries. A division is the way they keep us depowered. Divide and conquer. But during the Cold War with Russia, how many battles were there? 0, right? Because there was no Cold War. The space race, right? Russia thinks they won. We think we won.
Wait a second. I say Vietnam for us and Afghanistan for Russia were battles in the Cold War.
These are battles. These are battles that they're just using to depopulate the world, right? No, these governments.
Still battles.
Yeah, well, the Cold War with Russia.
Yeah.
Right. You want to count that as part of the Cold War? I think that was other conflicts.
Well, Russia was fighting Afghanistan. We funded them and trained their people. We were fighting. It's the same thing that happened with us in Vietnam. They were fighting, they were training and giving Vietnamese weapons. So there were battles between us during the Cold War.
Right. All right. So let's stick with Katy Perry. Let's stick with Katy Perry for now. Okay. All of the stuff they do is ritual sex magic, and it is crazy. So here is, let me just show you. We're just going to go over a couple things. Here's a picture of the top of the rocket. So here you got the door, you got the windows. The windows are a little narrower at the top. You have maybe 2 feet, a foot, in between them. And this is on the rocket. And then the rocket, blue horizon, you got the feather, and it goes the capsule goes all the way down to here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all one piece. So if we look at the next shot, right, this is all one piece, right? But when it landed, all of that is gone. Now it's a smaller rocket with a much wider gap, and you still have the narrower windows at the top. But inside, they're kind of square windows, and there's much less space in between them when you actually look when they show a spot. So again, these women were up there. They have GoPros on their wrists. They have cameras on the walls, right? And we get 30 seconds of footage with 12 edits. 12 edits, right?
Right.
This is 2 different things. And then did you see the door opening?
Yes.
When they opened the door, it was like an outhouse door.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Well, they opened it from the inside first, and then Jeff Bezos came up with his little tool.
Yeah. Well, that was just the publicity.
For the record, I believe this Blue Origin was bullshit. The whole thing.
Thank you. This is a mannequin's hand, so they had a mannequin in there. I don't know why they even needed to show that. I think that they literally try to do this. This is what a door looks like on an aircraft. This aircraft doesn't go up nearly as high as they do, right? So there's that. This is a bigger airplane. They're not just little flimsy doors, right? These are heavy duty doors.
Well, there's a couple things though. So one, like that, they do that on rocket ships and stuff for like the re-entry from like the outer atmosphere because of all that pressure. So supposedly what they were coming through wasn't that crazy of pressure.
They went up. How high did they go up? What was you said the distance?
It was over 35,000. I believe they went up.
No, it was like 60 miles or something.
Yeah,
it was way higher than anyone goes. And the pressure difference would be incredible. It's like, this is on the space station. This is a door on the space station, right? They're like, oh, it's a sun cover, right? This door is like an outhouse door, right? Let me just go back to it, right? It's, where is it? Look at that thing just flop around. Again, astronauts need training for years, right? They need training for years.
Yeah.
These girls said, they had 3 days of training, and what did they train you? Well, they trained us how to get in and out of the door.
Right. Well, they didn't do anything though. They weren't like flying the spaceship or like they were just going on the trip.
No helmets, no training. They got a door on the end. They got a handle on the inside that they could open the door. If somebody freaks out and decides to push the doorknob, right? They go up into space. They're slingshotted up. and then they're free falling down while they're just floating around looking at cameras. You ever been on a free fall ride? You shit your pants.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And these women are just like, oh, time to get back in our seats now, and then they slam into the ground. It's absolute insanity. And then if you know anything about MK Ultra mind control, it's always with the butterfly. It's always covering one eye. This is the main picture that they use.
Yeah.
And then here, let's look at the footage that they give us. Right. Oh no, actually, this was a different launch. This was when I think when Captain Kirk went up, right? And
the first one or whatever.
Yeah, edit. I'm going to jump through the edits here. There's 4 edits before it clears the tower. But watch the tip of the aircraft, the nose. I'll zoom in on it. Watch right there. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom.
It opens.
It's just fake. Look.
Oh, you're saying it's a digital.
This is a digital. Look, where's the smoke trail? What are they using? Butane? Is this a butane lighter? Right?
Usually it's like clean burning rocket fuel.
Thick smoke comes out of these things.
That's the shit blowing off the ground, dude. Once the thing gets up, it's just the fucking gas coming out.
You ever watch the space shuttle launch?
Which one? I've seen a bunch.
Yeah, there's solid smoke all the way up. Solid smoke. Whenever they launch, show me a launch of a real rocket in person that doesn't have a smoke trail. Well, they all have smoke trails.
They're like coolants plus the fucking shit that's coming out. It's not really smoke. And then when it gets to a certain point, you just see the clean burning rocket fuel. You don't see smoke.
Not when they used to launch the space shuttle.
That right there. That's all coolant and fucking earth debris blowing.
Show me a rocket. Show me a rocket, even a kid's rocket that doesn't leave a smoke trail. There's nothing.
Okay, there's a difference between kids' rockets and this. They don't use jet fuel in the kids' rockets.
Right. But this is the same fuel that they use on the space shuttle, and the space shuttle had thick smoke. Anyone that believes this is real, this little nozzle is lifting these women up into space, and then it's also going to land upright. You ever see the landing? The landings are absolutely retarded.
Oh, the actual rocket part.
Yeah, it lands, and it knows exactly where it's going to land. And when that capsule lands, when that capsule lands, it never lands on a bush or in a divot. It always lands perfectly level in a perfect spot, and then they show up there a few minutes later, right?
Yeah.
It's if you actually watch this stuff, and then it slams into the ground, and now they claim that a burst of air comes out of the bottom just before it hits the ground to cushion their landing. But if you watch it when it's coming down,
there was smoke. You saw that, Dave? They actually put in artificial smoke right there.
Absolutely. Where?
Watch.
Oh, there was one spot where there.
Yeah. But that's coolant. But hold on, Dave, because we're kind of going off here. I kind of agree with you about shit like this. Like, I really have no idea, not a clue.
Yeah.
But this is where you start throwing me off, because I'm going to agree with you on some of this shit. Maybe it's fake, but the Earth being flat is just.
Well, let's go back to that.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions about the Earth, and you actually might know how fast is we're rotating its equator. You knew it, just over 1,000 miles an hour. How fast is our orbit?
Like the
orbit around the sun.
I thought that was part of the of it.
We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour.
Right.
We're orbiting the sun at how fast?
I would think the same.
66,600 miles an hour. You can't even fathom. You can't even fathom that speed. Okay, so we're orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. Do you know that we're chasing the sun? Also, the sun's flying through space at how fast?
No,
faster than 66,000.
500,000 miles an hour, 500,000 miles per hour. So we're corkscrewing through space. All the other planets are corkscrewing through space, and they're all staying perfectly lined up with the sun. They're all keeping up with the sun. Right. So imagine a runner running around a track.
They're moving further away, but go ahead.
Well, they're all on the same plane at all the time. They're all like if you took the sun and made a flat plane off of it, all the planets are always on that plane, even though the sun is flying and curving through space, right? At 500,000 miles an hour. They all just keep up magically. That's amazing.
Orbit, yeah.
Orbit. You're just throwing words out now, and they don't, there's no proof of an orbit. So, and then there's tilted.
No proof of gravity. We'll
go to gravity if you want to go to gravity, but hold on.
Yeah.
We're tilted at 23.4 degrees. Take that off of 90, it's 66.6. Funny how that happens. Do you know how far the moon is?
Wait, why is that funny that happens? If
66.6, everything is 666s in
the devil and God. They part of the universe.
In the helio-satanic model, there's all 666s, right? And we'll just call that a coincidence, all right?
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's real.
How far is the moon? Do you know?
No, well, the moon's
35,000, something like that.
Very close, 237. Radius of the Earth, 3959. Circumference, 24,901. Curvature formula. You know the curvature formula? You probably do. How fast is the Earth curve in 3 miles?
I don't know.
6 feet. In 10 miles, 66.6 feet. Okay? So in 10 miles, there's over 60 feet of curvature, according to the globe math.
Okay.
Right? So have you ever seen that curvature?
Over 60 miles? I don't know if my...
No, 6 miles, 10 miles.
I don't know if my eyes could see that far.
Well, well, at least you got that down. So let me show you this. This is, hold on. So large bodies of water at rest need containment, right? You can agree that we can't have a large body of water unless it has sides to it, something to contain it.
No, I believe we can.
Show me a large body of water without containment.
The ocean.
It's contained. It's got a shoreline.
That's not a container. I mean, it's a shoreline. It runs right up to it. It's not a container. A container holds in and has
if you lowered the shoreline of a lake, the water would run away, right?
If you what?
If you took the shoreline of a lake, and you lowered it lower than the water will run out that lower part.
Yeah.
So I contend that the world oceans are a giant lake, and there's a shoreline around it. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. Did you know that?
I do now.
Okay. So Antarctica, let me just show you.
Because I'm taking what you're saying as gospel.
But again, you need to verify everything I'm saying at a later time.
Yeah.
Because belief is the enemy of knowing. It is super easy to believe. It takes no effort whatsoever.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. So you can agree with that. Mm-hmm. So I have a little chart, but can't find it right now. If you take all the average elevation, here it is. So the average elevations of all the continents in the world, this is Antarctica. Weird, right?
Dave, how come is that backwards on your screen too, or just ours?
It's just backwards on yours. It's forward on mine.
All right.
Let me see if it looks backwards on the stream.
No, there we go.
Yeah, everything's backwards on the stream.
You're good.
Did you flip it around?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. All right, that's good. Thanks for that.
Hey, John, put up Bill Hines' question.
I'll answer that, but let's just finish on seeing too far, and then I'll hit. I love questions.
Sure.
So large bodies of water need containment. Wait, you can't have water on the outside of a ball. You can assume that's water on the outside of a ball, but you can't show me any example of it other than reifying the question with the Earth globe. So here we have a lake, a canal, whatever you want to call it, and it freezes flat. Ice always is flat. And we have a camera 6 inches off the ice, and we put these lights 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles. Now, the curvature is far more than the numbers I'm going to show you, but I added refraction in there because Globers like to say, oh, it's refracting up. Well, it's cold, it's dry, it's night, there's no refraction, but I gave it 50% refraction, right? And that means that this light would be 30 feet below the physical curve of the Earth. When I say below, you can't see my mouth because it's below the curvature of the Earth, right? So 22 feet, 15 feet, and 9 feet. So you have two choices here. You can believe that the camera's 6 inches off of the flat ice and it's just looking at these lights in the distance and they are all there on the plane. Or you can believe that the camera is here. The horizon, according to the globe, is less than 1 mile away. And this tangent of physical Earth curvature, these lights that are below it, behind a hill, like if you were on the other side of the hill, I couldn't see you, but they're magically refracting up the perfect amount to line up with this tangent. They're not going higher. They're not going lower. They all magically refract the perfect amount to look like they're at a tangent.
Where is this?
This is just a lake. This is something you could do, all right? We're showing you that we can see too far. I can show you hundreds of examples. Here is one we call the black swan.
Wait,
right?
So you think 22 miles away and it would be too low for you to see it, see the light?
You don't understand the Earth curve calculator. This is 9.4 miles away. There should be 59 feet of curvature, according to your math.
Well, first of all, I didn't say math. I didn't give you any math. This was your math. I'm agreeing.
No.
That
This
your
is
numbers are correct.
This is the Earth curve calculator. Okay, go look up Earth curve calculator and put viewer height 1 foot, distance 9.4 miles. There should be 59 feet of curvature to this rig, this oil rig.
I guess if you are maybe on certain elevation levels or something, there's a lot that could go into that.
Listen, you're not listening to me.
You said on a lake.
No. I'm telling you this. This is a video. We did it, and now you can go do it. Right? We have a camera 1 foot above the water. 1 foot.
Right.
Elevation 1 foot. So elevation 1 foot, distance 9.4 miles, curvature 59 feet. Not only can we see the rig, we can see the surface of the water from miles beyond the rig. So you have to believe that that water beyond the rig is refracting up over 60, 70, 80 feet at all different amounts. And it's just all stopping perfectly at the tangent. And the water like in front of it is refracting up 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet.
Then yeah, I would have to believe that.
It's all refracting up magically to make you think that the earth is flat, or you're just looking across a flat plane.
Okay. So then how do you not go off of Earth, or how do you get to the other side of Earth if it's flat? Like, how does this work?
Yeah. So if you were on a lake, let's say we have a lake 100 miles across in Kansas, right? 100 miles across. That's a big lake. And in the middle of the lake, we have a small little mountain, a big rock just in the middle of the lake. And it's a neodymium magnet, super strong magnet, right? So, if you're 25 miles from the shore, you're halfway to the center of the lake. With me?
Yeah.
Right? And 25 miles from the shore, you can't see the shoreline and you can't see the center of the lake. 25 miles, you just can't see that far easily. I mean, you might be able to see a tiny bit, but you're in the middle of the lake. Your compass is going to point towards the middle of that lake, right? Right? Makes sense. It's going to point towards the magnetic mountain.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just trying to get to right. So this is this is the lake. You got the mountain here. This is the shoreline of the lake, right? You're somewhere here in the middle. And if I went around the lake, I'm just going east. Do you understand that? Let me show you. I'll spell it out a little easier. Where did it go? Here we go. So here's I made a little map. I got a magnet here. My compass is pointing to the north. The needle always points to the north. I'm trying to push this west.
Okay.
And I have to keep turning to maintain a heading of 270 degrees west.
Okay.
So west is a circle. Doesn't prove the earth is flat because it's the same on a globe. It's the same on a globe. In the north, you'd have to always turn to the right. And when you're going east, you have to always turn to the left to maintain. Now we're heading 90 degrees east.
Yeah.
And I'm just going around. So I'm circumnavigating, which is going to get to your question about getting to the edge. Now, south is this way. South is that way. Now, I'm going to try to dead reckon west, right? That stick is pointing west. But if I don't turn, I'm heading south. South is every direction away from north. So south is everywhere. This is Antarctica. This is the highest land on Earth. This is the container of our pond. Now, if I try to go south, this is the problem.
So you're telling me that Antarctica surrounds the entire ocean?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the container. Now, here's the problem where the flat and globe, on a flat Earth, if I try to go south, which is this way, I don't end up over here, but I should. If I was a globe, I just go across and I'd go back. Like going from Santiago south, I should show up in Australia, right? Because on the bottom of a ball, right? South would be this. Let me just show you, right? So here's Antarctica. Here's Australia right there. And here's Santiago. So if I go south from Santiago, south, now I'm going north and I'm in Australia because I went across the South Pole. Nobody has ever done that. Billions of people have gone east and west circumnavigating. So when you get to the edge so you're sailing around the lake, you've gone east and west, no problem. Now you go south and you get to the edge of the lake. Can you fall off the lake? No, step up onto the land.
You go to more land.
Well, you go to Antarctica. I contend that Antarctica is bigger than all of the rest of the world combined. We don't know what's beyond Antarctica.
So Antarctica is more prevalent than the oceans. It's
So
more.
so this pink line is 60 degrees south, and no one is allowed to free and independently explore beyond that. So what's out here in the outer space? What's out here? Now, by the way, we don't need to speculate what's beyond this pink line to prove the Earth is flat. We can do that right here from our yards. We can measure the Earth. We can do all sorts of experiments. But what's out here? And so imagine this. I cut this map out. I cut it out all the way around there.
Yeah.
And I wrap it around a ball. And I say, this is where you live, and you're not allowed to explore this white area. Well,
hold on a second. Who has said that, and to who? Because I've never heard anybody been told that. I've never heard anybody who has been in a boat flying anywhere mention any of this best kept secret that you know.
Yeah. So this is called the Antarctic Treaty in the 1950s. Admiral Byrd was did an exploration in Antarctica. He went on the news show and said that there's more land beyond the South Pole. Beyond the South Pole, how's that work on a globe? That's bigger than the United States that no human has ever set foot upon. From where they left, beyond the South Pole would be in between Australia and Africa. Land bigger than the United States and no one has ever seen. That doesn't make sense on a globe. On a flat Earth, it makes sense. So right after that, Antarctic Treaty was signed. All the nations in the world, all the big nations in the world signed it. And
wait, why does it make sense on flat Earth? Because it could technically extend further than we talk about?
Yeah. Well, I'll show you that. So they created the Antarctic Treaty. They created all these bases. This is the Falkland Islands right here. Remember the Falkland Islands War? What do we need that little island for, right? This is to stop people from going beyond here free and independently. Now, I don't know if there's a wall all the way around. We don't know. I mean, it could be more like this. It could be, the world could be like this. This was a map that was found in a Buddhist temple 10 centuries old. It was published in 1907 in a Hawaiian newspaper. Here we are. We've got South America, right? Africa. And it showed like 30 some odd continents out here. What's out here?
What is this?
This is a map that was found in a Buddhist temple about more land beyond where we're allowed to explore. We're not allowed to explore beyond this line right here.
That's a pretty good imagination on that Buddhist
monk. It's not imagination. Well, this is a map, right? And there's tons of books and all sorts of stuff about what's beyond Antarctica, what's beyond Antarctica. There's military whistleblowers that are talking, and again, hearsay, I don't have proof, just military whistleblowers saying that there's cities of people in Antarctica, of millions of people that aren't allowed to communicate. So they might be out here somewhere. They're not allowed to communicate with us. How would you know?
What about these drone flights and like flights that are going over Antarctica, taking pictures and like, where's all the people?
Yeah. So, well, they're not showing you everything. You go look at, pictures of Antarctica.
I'm talking like people, like normal people using drones to go over there. And
no one's flying drones over Antarctica. There's no way to fly a drone.
Bobby, pull it up. I literally just saw drone images 2 days ago over Antarctica.
You didn't see drone images. Elon Musk, all of a sudden, all of a sudden, now that that all this controversy is coming up, first time they're flying over Antarctica, and it was so bad. I mean, it's just all. I could fake that right here with my green screen. It'd be so easy.
I agree.
Right? People want you to believe, this is what the flat Earth. You fall off the Earth. No, this is the shoreline of Antarctica. Right? It's 200 feet high. It's the elevation, right? And you don't fall off of Antarctica.
You're telling me those two pictures at the bottom are real pictures?
These are real pictures, absolutely.
Can you send me those pictures? Not that thing that you have right there with those pictures.
I'm going to show you a video if you want to see. So this is, why is that all? Hold on, I got two things running here.
Why is that boat crashing into that ice shelf?
Because it's an icebreaker.
It looked like he had like plenty of knowledge that was going to be there.
No, they were that's how they ram the nose in, and then they have a crane that puts things up onto the land. So
Who's doing that?
These are Antarctic. These are boats that go to Antarctica.
I thought no boats went there.
Well, no free and independent. There's tons of military stuff going on there. There's bases all over the place in Antarctica.
Those look like civilian boats. Just saying.
No, that's not. It's not.
They didn't look like military, or ours at least.
Well, these are all the bases in Antarctica, and they go all the way around. And there's an area where there's no bases for some reason. Right? You got all these bases here, but no bases, because you see how this is farther out.
Yeah.
This is past the point where there's any sunlight. There's no sunlight here, so there's no bases here. We have. Wait,
again, how is there no sunlight?
Because it's too far away from our circling sun. Do you understand how the sun circles on a flat Earth?
No, because the Earth is round. So please tell me.
Well, I'll show you.
Thank you.
So I'm just trying to show you here. This is a video. This is this is just video of the ice wall with pictures. So here's the boat, right? And there's a lower spot where they're putting stuff in. But this is just video of the shoreline of Antarctica from an airplane, and some pictures. So again, you can Google this. There's millions of pictures. Don't Google stuff. Verify. Make sure you're not.
Yeah, that one right there that you're showing, 100% a picture.
Yeah.
The boat crashing into it. I don't know. I don't believe that.
No, that's not. There's actually video of the boat doing that and loading stuff on for expedition.
Show you video of Jesus blowing the devil. That looks real.
Again,
just to say,
you have to go. You have to look and verify. I mean, no one's even questioned. No, even Globe trolls have even questioned that that's real. It's real. It's a real photo. Go research it. You'll find it. So again, Antarctica, according to the Globers, I can't prove that Antarctica is the highest land on Earth, but according to mainstream, Antarctica is over twice the height of the second average continent. And then here is Antarctica from space. Which cartoon do you want to look at? Right? They're all cartoons. Just Google Antarctica from space and look at it.
When you say cartoons, are you saying that because they are stitched together because the picture is so big that you have to do that?
They're paintings.
Okay.
They're paintings. There's no photos of Antarctica from space. Now, there are some high-altitude photographs of the shoreline, and it is stitched together like Google Earth does. Google Earth didn't have curvature until 2008. Google Earth was flat, but they added curvature. I think it was 2008. Thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. I want to show you a couple other things.
Google Earth wasn't round. What do you mean by that?
It showed everything flat. Like you can zoom out and everything was flat. It didn't have curvature. It didn't have the ball.
I remember the original ball was you saw a globe. The original Google Earth was you saw the Earth and then it would like zoom in, probably animation to it, but then it would zoom into what you were looking at.
Right. And you could also see when you go up on Google Earth, it turns into a cartoon at like 200,000 feet or something, or maybe even way less than that. It literally goes from stitched together photographs from drones and airplanes and whatever's taking those photos, and then it turns into a cartoon. So like, wait, why can we take pictures of Pluto, but we can't take pictures of Earth from any height? And you can do this on your Google Earth browser. You can circle any continent and get the square miles of the continent, no problem. Right? Makes sense. Beautiful. Sure. Right? And then you could do it around Antarctica and watch what happens. When you do it, it inverts. It inverts.
What do you mean by that?
Look at that. It's not giving me it literally inverts and makes this like cone, this weird thing.
Yeah, but what
I'm just trying to circle. I'm just trying.
Right.
Because,
so
now think about it. Because if you take it and you peel it out, remember I showed you how it came together. It can't measure this because this doesn't exist, right? And it's funny that we can go to other places on Earth.
Wait a minute. So what do you mean? So that Antarctica landmass that we're seeing doesn't exist?
No.
Okay.
So I can just do the North Pole and watch what happens in the North Pole. It inverts again. It's not letting me make a circle around it. But I can do any other place on Earth, except like I'll do Greenland. And except the North Pole and South Pole. That's just
maybe you're making the one too big to.
We try it small. You can go try it yourself. It does not work anywhere. I did all of South America, which is way bigger. I did all of South America.
The fact that you're doing it on a computer program doesn't tell me anything.
I'm telling you that Google Earth is hiding the North Pole and South Pole. Look, this is way bigger than Antarctica and the North Pole, and it works perfectly. It closes and it gives me the square miles. But the North Pole and the South Pole don't work at all.
Maybe because they're ice and they're changing. I don't know.
Keep making excuses. I mean, you can just make excuses.
That's a legitimate thing of why it wouldn't give you the proper fucking square miles of Antarctica.
Yeah. How about this? We can try to go all the way around the Earth, right?
Yeah, but you're showing me around Earth, and then
I'm showing you around Earth,
and
I'm trying to measure the round Earth, and it will not let me go all the way around. It will not tell me. I'm trying to get the circumference of the Earth, and it will not let me do it. So now I'm anchoring the point, so it's letting me do it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I say, all right, there's no reason why Google Earth should not be able to tell me what this distance is. And watch what happens when I try to connect them. The same thing happens. It just reverts because we don't live on a ball. You can't live on a ball.
With gravity, you absolutely can. When everything gets
gravity, which gravity are you talking about?
Earth's gravity.
No, Newtonian gravity or Einsteinian gravity? You want me to tell you what the difference is?
I guess.
So Newtonian gravity is the mass attracting mass. The apple fell on his head. Thank God a kid didn't release a helium balloon that day because he wouldn't know what to do.
Right.
So they've switched it to Einsteinian gravity, which is the bending and warping of space-time. All right. Do you know what the bending and warping of space-time means?
No.
Nobody does. So don't worry about it. Right. It's just nonsense. It's absolute and total nonsense. They're like, oh, there's so much gravity here. It's like a bowling ball on a trampoline. I'm like, well, why is it going that direction? Why isn't it going that direction?
Because it's from the center of Earth. It's whatever the Earth's core is that's causing gravity. Everything sucks towards the center of Earth. That's what's pulling everything.
Yeah, that's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. So
why would they tell us this? Like what? So what are they accomplishing?
What are they accomplishing? Right. Yeah. So you're jumping forward. Let's hit that at the end. Let's look at a little more evidence first, right?
Okay. Then before we go there, please answer the audience question, and then we'll go right to that.
Let's answer the audience question, and then we'll go to gravity. What's the question?
If the Earth is flat, how do GPS systems work with satellite triangulation from space, especially over oceans where there are no towers?
Well, first, there are no satellites. There's tens of thousands of balloons up there carrying satellites. It's called the Sataloon program. I can show you videos of it. Their GPS doesn't work over the Amazon jungle because there's no towers there. GPS doesn't work in the far southern oceans, right? Any airplanes going in the far southern ocean, they just disappear. Even from California to Hawaii, there's no GPS there too. But there are
That's not true. They could put GPS up. Okay.
Incorrect.
Can they get Starlink in the fucking Amazon jungle?
Well, so we're jumping from thing to thing to thing. We're gonna have to
not. There's satellites.
No. There is Starlink is a thing, but it's not what you think it is.
Okay.
All right. It's not what you think it is. There's cables. 99% of the internet traffic in the world, intercontinental traffic, is done over cables. It's all done over cables.
That's after the fact, dude.
No, it's not after the fact.
100% that's after the fact. So your Starlink is coming from a satellite to a little receiver. Some 5G signals, you could do the same thing. Satellite receiver and then wires to the house if you so be it.
So let me ask a question. So you know how a cell tower works, right?
Sure.
Right. So when you're in the range of that cell tower, you get signal from the tower. The higher the tower is, the bigger the range, right? If I unplug that cell tower, would it work?
No.
Okay. So what if I put a couple solar panels around it and said, this is you get a power from a couple solar panels? Would that be enough to run it?
I have no idea what the power is to run it.
Yeah. I was in the solar power industry. There's 0% chance. It wouldn't even be able to keep itself cool with just a couple solar panels.
Okay, so do you know why that is? Not from the signal coming from the satellite, but everybody's signal connecting to it. So it needs to have all this stuff in place.
Yeah. So
power that to cool it.
What I'm pointing out is that the tower needs to have power. Occasionally needs to be serviced.
Sure.
Right. And it only goes so far.
Sure.
But airplanes fly about 5 miles high. So imagine a cell tower 5 miles high that has all of the equipment you need to transmit and receive signals. It has a power source, and it could be serviced on a daily basis. Where are airplanes? They're everywhere. They're everywhere, right? When the Ukraine war started, Elon Musk said, I'm going to shut down Starlink for Ukraine. How do you shut down Starlink first? Right, so that maybe they have a way to do it.
He said, "I'm going to give Ukraine Starlink."
No, he first shut it down, when there was a no-fly zone.
Dude, you are 100% wrong. The Ukrainians asked him for Starlink. Zelensky did, and Musk gave them Starlink.
At first, he shut it down. He shut it down at first when there was a no-fly zone, right? So again, we'll take that off the table. No, we'll take that off the table. That's fine. If there's a discrepancy there, that's fine. But you have to understand that airplanes are only 5 miles in the high. They're everywhere, and they have incredible range. So I was on a flight to Mexico, and I was listening to a live stream. I was uploading videos. I had great internet connection. Every time I put my phone down and pick it back up, it goes, oh, so remember to let everyone know that you're connected via Starlink. Amazing. Starlink satellites are 350 miles above the Earth. 350 miles. So I got my phone on airplane mode. I'm connected to the plane's Wi-Fi.
How are you in airplane mode and connected to Wi-Fi?
You go on airplane. No, you go on airplane mode and turn on your Wi-Fi.
No,
so I'm not connected.
Airplane mode shuts off every.
I turn off the cell. I turn off Bluetooth.
Okay.
I turn off cell connection. I turn on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I call that airplane
different.
mode.
That's not airplane mode, but
okay. Airplane mode. All right. So my bad. Right. And so I'm connected to the plane's Wi-Fi.
Right.
So the plane, before Starlink, used to connect me to the internet by just sending my signal down to a cell tower. And then it would jump from cell tower to cell tower to cell tower, just like when I'm driving a car. I'm going from cell tower to cell tower to cell tower. It's the same exact process.
So phones on cell tower, I mean, they a lot of times don't work up in the plane. So it's like you could turn your cell service on.
No, you're incorrect. If I had my phone on regular cellular service, sure, it won't work. But the airplane has a transmitter strong enough to hit the cell towers. And that's how it used to work before Starlink.
I get what you're saying now.
Okay. But now, instead of doing that, the airplane sends my signal a minimum of 350 miles up.
Okay.
To a tin can that's somehow mirroring all of that spiraling vortexing motion and maintaining its position.
Orbit,
It does. You're just saying orbit. You don't even know what that is.
Well, you don't even know how a balloon stays in the sky then. How are they refilling these balloons and keeping them up there?
You didn't ask me that yet, but I'm glad to ask you that. Don't tell me I don't know it.
Staying in an orbit, that's how you know? Okay.
It's completely different, and we can explain that. But hear me out.
I am.
So the airplane is sending my signal up to a tin can that has no power source, is not grounded, doesn't ever get serviced, and then it is transmitting my signal 350 miles minimum right past the airplane down to a cell tower. Does that make any sense to you?
That's not what Starlink does, dude.
That's exactly what it does.
Starlink goes from the satellite to the Starlink receiver. It is not cell phone
Starlink
towers.
receiver. Okay, the Starlink receiver. Fine. So
that you buy. That every individual who uses Starlink buys.
So how does it connect me to the internet? When does it connect to the internet?
So I get this Starlink receiver. It looks like your Wi-Fi modem that you have in your house.
I understand.
That goes to the satellite. The way you connect to it is you go to that receiver and sign into Starlink like you do your Wi-Fi.
Right. So you connect the Starlink in the sky.
Yeah.
Then how does your signal, like you want to call me? How does it call me? Where does it go from there?
So if we're talking the Wi-Fi data stuff, I go from this receiver that I get from Starlink, my home modem router,
to the satellite.
That's it.
And then wait, no, so how do I connect to the satellite? How do I get the signal from the satellite?
I'm getting the signal from the satellite.
You're getting the signal.
Right.
You're connecting to the satellite. How does it reach me?
It's on the internet. It's sending.
Wait, hold on. How does it connect to the internet?
Through the satellite, through a protocol, the same way a 5G connects to the internet.
Can you explain to him where he's not seeing this?
Well, the Starlink has uplink, downlink sites.
Yeah,
I'm sitting less than a block from one right now.
Yeah, so you send your signal up to Starlink. Starlink then connects to whatever receiver on Earth, and then we're on the internet. We're connected.
Okay.
Okay. Why did this airplane send it 350 miles up and then 350 miles down? Why didn't it just send it down?
Those Starlink receivers that are in York are only like boosters. They're not needed. So you could literally connect from your router to the satellite directly.
But how does the satellite connect to the internet?
Right.
The same way any satellite
connects. It transmits down to a receiver on Earth.
You're sending to so for me to send a signal out to you? Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's my point.
But from your receiver, it's not going back to the satellite out.
Just send it down to Earth instead of way out of the way. Hey, you know what? I wanna go across town to the convenience store, but I'm gonna go across the country first, and then I'm gonna come back and go to the convenience store. Makes no sense.
Again, that doesn't make sense to me. So if I don't know for sure, but I would think the airplanes have that Starlink receiver in it rather than bounce back and forth. That would make absolutely no sense.
Oh, okay. So now we're sending it to the satellite. The satellite sends it back to the airplane.
Once it comes to you, it then goes to the internet. So from there,
where you say go to the internet? Where is the internet?
All around you through
you need to be connected to the network of wires on the ground, correct? We'll call the internet a network of wires.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does that satellite connect to the network of wires?
It
transmits a signal down to Earth.
Down to the uplink site, yeah.
Yeah. Why doesn't the airplane just go direct? Why does it need to go to outer space and then back down? Why doesn't it just connect direct? Because that's what it used to do.
Right.
Okay. So think about this. Go back and listen to this later. Rethink about it. Let's move forward. Have you ever seen the Starlink satellites in space go by?
Like I've seen video. I've never physically seen.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen them go by, and it's pretty cool, right? And this is what it looks like. Yeah, Starlink, amazing. Yes. Amazing. How big is a Starlink satellite?
I don't know. Maybe a fucking.
See this jet engine on a 747?
I was going to say the size of the plane, not the engine.
No, it's like a quarter or an eighth or a tenth of the size of an engine. Let's just say it's the size of an engine. Okay, they're way smaller than an engine, but it's the size of an engine. Right. So now this is a small picture, hard to see. If you're outside and looking at a 747 flying at cruising altitude 5 to 7 miles up, you can see the wings, but you really can't see the engines. Okay.
Okay.
Starlink satellites are 350 miles up. If that plane was 10 miles up, you couldn't even see the plane. 350 miles up. Right. So if this is 7 miles high, Starlink is tiny. Right.
So hold on.
There's a man right here. Starlink is like the size of 3 men. All right. Yeah. Right. So you think that we could actually see Starlink satellites at 350 miles up? You don't understand the angular resolution limits of your eyes, although you did say earlier that you can't see that far. So whatever we're seeing, I don't know what it is. They're much lower. So it's not what they're telling us.
Well, so the actual satellite, maybe the part that has function is that, but it does have those solar panels that shoot out that fucking make it wide. And if it's reflecting off the sun, you might be able to see that from up there.
If it's reflecting off the sun, so let's say we're down at the beach or wherever, and you guys are 50 yards apart, and I got a mirror. Starlinks are not mirrors. I got a mirror, and the sun's behind you guys, and I shine the sun right in your face. Is he going to see it also?
He's standing across from me.
No, you guys are standing any distance apart. I'm reflecting the sun to your face. He's not going to see that reflection.
Correct.
Okay. Think about this. Go back to this. Rethink it. You cannot see something smaller than a jet engine at 60 times the height of an airplane.
I agree with that.
Right. But we're seeing something. So now you can agree that those lights that we see are not what they're telling us. So then what are they? I don't know, but they're not what they're telling us. So you have to see the deception.
No, I'm sorry, I do not.
You're just in denial. You're just in denial.
Not in denial. Not in denial. The fact that you're telling me that there's no satellites in orbit, orbit isn't a real thing, and that balloons are what is controlling our GPS, and they just stay up in the sky.
No, balloons are not controlling our GPS. They might be assisting, but our GPS is done. It's a ground positioning system. I used to have, when I was a kid, our boat, we had Loran, and Loran was a series of towers that are all over the place, and they send out signals, and each signal has an 8-digit number, and we look on a map and it shows us where we were. Then all of a sudden they said, oh, now we have satellites, and it's the exact same system with a graphic overlay and the same dead spots. Everything is the same. GPS is just the Loran system upgraded with imagery.
And the Loran system for the lay people is?
It was a tower-based system that boats use to navigate on the ocean, right? So there's a grid of towers everywhere, and they create, you say, oh, you take this 8-digit number and this number, and wherever it crosses, that's where you are. And it works. It was very accurate. Then they just graphically overlaid it, and it worked amazing.
Okay, so then what are the balloons that you're talking about are the satellites?
Well, they're launching balloons all the time with satellites. They're crashing all over the earth. And, NASA controls all the helium in the world, or 99% of it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. They launch them from ships. They launch up. Do you know that twice a day, every single day, there's 950 some odd sites that launch a weather balloon at the exact same time, twice a day, every day. And all of that data, they're all everywhere across the world, every country. It's just evenly spread across the world. And they launch these things, and then they take all that data, put it in a supercomputer, and that's how they tell you what the wind speeds are and the clouds, and that's how they do all of the weather tracking. That's how the Himawari satellite gets its images. They just literally take a cartoon ball and wrap clouds around it.
I have no problem with that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then, and these satellites are crashing all over the place, and they immediately get picked up.
Satellites fall out of orbit. Sure, they need to
but they all have balloons on them. Okay. They all have balloons attached to them. And now NASA is admitting, they're like, you know what? Maybe it's cheaper to put satellites on balloons than put them in space.
Are you saying that's a balloon and not a parachute?
Yeah, they're all balloons. Okay. It's not even a question.
I mean, that is just a little bit freaky for me to...
There's also buoys that are connected to the internet cables that are all across the ocean that work like satellites, like towers. They're all over the place. And they're mapping it out more and more. So to believe that, we're orbiting, spiraling, whirling and twirling, and just because you say the word orbit, how does a satellite, right?
Yeah.
The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. So a satellite has to be...
Is the Earth just floating and not moving in space? Is that what we're doing? We're just floating and not moving?
No, I'm just showing you the simple solution.
I'm asking.
It's not. It's doing this according to mainstream.
No, but since it's not mainstream and they're wrong, what is it doing in your world?
Oh, we're not floating. We're not in space. We don't even believe in space.
Okay.
Okay. It's sitting. The Earth does not move.
Okay.
Provably, testably, right? Let me just show you. So we got all of these motions going on here.
Are we moving further away from the sun every year?
No, the sun is small and local, and it circles around us. Let me show you how that works in a second. But you have to remember, all of these directions are curved. Okay? So if you're in a car going 100 miles an hour, totally sealed up tight, perfectly smooth road, great suspension, no problem. You can get a dinner plate, pour water on it. Like, look, I got a plate of water. That plane, if that car takes the slightest turn, the water's gone. The water's going to go right off the plate.
Okay.
Slightest turn. Speed up, slow down. The water's going to go off the plate, right? So this is...
Why is that, though?
Well, that's...
Gravity or some shit,
No,
right?
because you're moving...
force.
Because you're moving... If you're on a tangential straight line, you could claim that you really wouldn't feel that motion so much. But if you take a turn is acceleration. Even though you're not changing speed, it's acceleration.
So if you were on a monorail going straight, no windows, you could be doing 1,000 miles per hour and you wouldn't know it.
Well, I think that your body would sense it, but I'll go with you. it's great suspension. You got no
I was
visual.
asking.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. I think your body can sense that motion. But let's say it's so smooth. There's no windows, right? You wouldn't know how fast you're going if you're going at all. If it took the slightest turn, you're going to feel that as acceleration, right?
Okay.
So they want you to believe that all of these motions are happening. 1,000-mile-an-hour spin, 66,000 miles an hour
like
orbit.
This, right, Dave? Like this and like this. So it's going around the rotate, and then it's also on its
it's rocketing forward too. Don't forget about that. And the entire system's moving sideways at 2.2 million miles per hour.
Right.
Okay. But all of these motions are happening, but we can't sense them. This is NASA's hypersonic sled track. You can't even see it go by. Watch. It's going to go by at 8.6 times the speed of sound. Mach 8.6. Ready? Ready? Here it comes. Can't even see it, right? It's unbelievable. Go look it up. The hypersonic sled track. The sound is shocking. Like standing next to that track, it would like literally make you pass out. Right? Now, can you fathom twice that speed? You can't, right? It's just unbelievable. But when we go out into nature, we see stuff like this. We see stuff like this. What does nonsense tell you? We're whirling, twirling, and swirling in 4 different directions at once at speeds that we can't comprehend. But when we go out in nature, we see stuff like this.
It's almost like what you just described. You're like in a protected thing with no windows, and it's not. So
what
like
about
our
that
atmosphere.
plate of water? That plate of water in a protected thing. The car takes the slightest turn, the water goes off the plate. Don't believe me? Go try it. Try it at 5 miles an hour. Okay. The water goes off the plate.
But now have everything sucking the water towards the center of that plate, and you wouldn't.
Why isn't the water being sucked towards the center of the plate?
Gravity, dog. That's what I'm using here.
So gravity. All right, back to gravity, because we started on gravity. So they've thrown out Einsteinian gravity. I mean, Newtonian gravity.
I got to ask. So, Chad, are you any more clear? Like, where are you on flat Earth right now? Has this changed your mind any bit here? Like, I'm wanting to get to, because
we haven't gotten that far.
I get it. But it's just like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we keep getting somewhere, and then like, I see your point of view, but like, I don't know.
So let's talk about gravity. Flat Earth.
I want to hear what Chad has to say though.
Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, well, I guess we said we're going to get to it at the end, but my whole question is
why?
Why?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get there. We'll get there shortly.
What is the explanation?
Yeah. We'll get there shortly. We think down is down for everybody, right? Down is down for everybody. But on a globe, down is antipodal. This guy's antipodal to this person. This guy's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. This guy's pirouetting like a ballerina. This guy's going 500 miles an hour. But for some reason, he's not being pushed over towards the equator. Think about the centrifugal force. He'd be kind of have to lean to the left there, which is weird. But
it's not centrifugal force, though. That's not what they're saying gravity is.
I'm not talking about the gravity. I'm talking about even if there was gravity, the spinning of the earth at 1,000 miles an hour going off your trajectory at a mile per minute, you would feel that. If your car was taking a left-hand turn at a mile per minute, you would feel it if you're going 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, because that's so small, dude. Like, you're got to look at it on the scale of the earth, bro. You can't.
You're just saying words, dude.
I'm not saying words. That's like saying you took a ball that is the size of a fucking soccer ball and spun it, or if you took a ball the size of a fucking, state and spun it. The feeling would be different if you're in the center of those two things.
And the bigger it is, the faster it's going. If you were on a merry-go-round that went around once per day, it would be hard to tell that you were moving.
Agreed.
Right? Now expand that to 24 miles in circumference. How fast is it going? How fast is the edge going? The horse on the outside.
Slower.
24 miles. Well, it's going 1 mile per hour. Because it's got to spin around once per day.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going 1 mile per hour. Now make it 24,000 miles in circumference. Yeah. It's now going 1,000 miles an hour.
Correct.
And it's taking a left-hand turn at a mile of distance per minute.
Correct.
If you don't that you'd be thrown off that horse, I can't help you.
Gravity, dude. Gravity sucking it towards the center of the earth. So whatever your centrifugal force is that would be pushing you out that far, it's not as strong as gravity. That's the difference. Gravity is stronger. What's pulling you towards the center of Earth is a lot more powerful than the centrifugal force of Earth.
So we're going to talk about the power of gravity. You know, they say gravity is a weak force, right?
Is a weak force? Sure.
Yeah, they say it's very weak, right? So we live in an electrical system. The sun and the moon are the cathode and the anode. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge. That's a battery. We live in this battery system. And everything is controlled by electrostatics, right? Everything is has a electrostatic. So Walter Lewin from MIT, it's electrical forces that hold our world together. Walter Lewin, one of the great professors, right? That talk about that. So let's talk about electrostatics. We're going to do a little science, and we're going to prove electrostatics. So here we have some leftover party balloons with helium in it, and we tied them to this button, and it's neutrally buoyant a couple inches off the floor. Now we got this wire connected to it, which goes to a Van de Graaff generator, and we can change the electrostatic charge of this. The ground is neutral or negative, and everything in the sky is positive. The sky is positive. So anything above the ground has a positive charge, and then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. So positive charge, negative ground, ground's not moving, things will go towards the ground. So when we add a positive charge to this, we're not changing gravity.
Yeah.
We're just changing the electric charge. For some reason, it's attracted to the ground. And then when we discharge it, it goes back up. All right. So, okay, we just took an independent variable, we manipulated it. That's science. We can do the same thing with a negative
what
charge.
is that doing though? What does that actually do? So
we're making the button have a higher positive charge.
Right. So it's like
and it went down. It
like
went
a
down.
magnet positive charge, like that type of.
No, not magnetism. It just has everything has a charge to it. Every element has a different charge to it.
Okay.
Okay. And so we added a higher charge to it, and it went down. We
I guess I don't understand what the higher charge is. Like, what is the charge that you're adding?
So we're adding, making the charge more positive. A more positive charge. Everything
what
has
is the charge, I guess. My brain's not working.
You gotta look up electrostatics. Everything has a charge. Gold has a higher electrostatic charge than Bosso would. Okay, it's heavier because the more positive protons in it gets attracted to the Earth because the Earth is negative and the Earth isn't moving, but the gold will move. Right. So we add a negative charge to this. It goes up, turn it off, it goes down, turn it on, keep it on. It goes up. Right. So again, we just tested the down and up.
What is that?
It's just a tinfoil. This is called the silent drone. MIT again created this. It's got no moving parts. All they did was change it to a very strong negatively charged device, and it floats.
Okay.
Now the XRT-3B triangular aircraft, they admit that it levitates and propels itself with electrostatics.
How are you changing the electrostatics from positive or negative, or adding more positive or adding more negative? That's my question.
Well, the Van de Graaff generator does it. I don't know exactly how it does it, but go look up Silent Drone, MIT, and they'll explain how you do it. We don't have time to get into how they change the charge, but you can change the charge as we just showed you with the balloons and the triangle.
What are you trying to say with the changing of the charge?
I'm getting to the point, if you allow me.
Yes.
Right?
I gotta walk this through like my brain works, because if I don't understand, then my audience doesn't understand. So I gotta ask you questions as you're talking.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good. So we change the electrostatic charge. Now, our mainstream science says that the electrostatic charge is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. And gravity is just an unproven theory. Yeah. You need gravity for the globe. Yeah. So it's made up. 96% is wrong. They made up dark matter and dark energy to fill in the other 96%. And when you have a theory that's 96% wrong, you throw it out. But in the heliocentrism, you just make up dark matter and dark energy because it has to work. Otherwise, we're not on a globe. So they say it's 10 to the 36 power. That's 10 with 36 zeros. Okay.
They're saying it's that much more powerful than gravity.
Yeah. So let's pretend gravity's real.
Okay.
Pretend gravity's real. Do you know how many zeros are in a trillion?
Too many.
There's 12. Just 12. Right? So if I was in your studio and I punch you in the shoulder and you're like, hey, what'd you do that for? All right. If I punch you 1,000 times harder, I'd probably knock you to the ground, probably break your shoulder, right?
Kill me, yeah.
Yeah. If I did it 100,000 times, you're dead. If I did it 1,000,000 times, you'd probably explode to be a big mess, right?
Yeah.
1,000,000,000 times harder, I don't know, maybe it'd blow up the whole building. Who the hell knows, right? 1,000,000,000,000 times harder, can't even fathom what that is, okay?
Yeah.
That's only 12 zeros. We got to get to 36. I got to times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, right? So what they're telling us is that gravity is nothing, because I just proved that electrostatics make things go up and down based on their density. I manipulated how much they're attracted to the earth, how heavy they are. And if you want to throw gravity in there, it doesn't matter. It's 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. So gravity doesn't exist. Literally, I can't even think of an analogy. You know, it's like trying to pick up the Empire State Building and you're like, well, I'm going to throw a fleck of dust on there and then see what difference it makes. You know, see if you're able to do it. That's the difference. Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is? Just to show you how big a trillion is. 12 zeros. How long is 1 trillion seconds? Yes.
I have no idea. 100 years?
You want to guess too, Chad?
It's probably like 10,000 years or something like that.
31,000 years.
Holy testicle Tuesday.
So they want you to believe that we can see planets that are billions and trillions of miles away. They want you to believe in nonsense. You guys are in the North. You're in America, right? Where are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, America, New Jersey.
You ever look up and see the North Star?
I think I have. I have no idea which one
it's
actually
right,
is.
It's right there. It's near the Big Dipper. It's bright. You can see it easy with your naked eye, right?
Yeah.
You can see the North Star with your naked eye. No problem. So they tell us that our North Star is 46 times bigger than our sun. Remember that. They tell us our sun, excuse me, our sun is 400 times bigger than our moon. But it looked like they're the same size because it happens to be 400 times farther away. Right?
Yeah.
So scaling and variance work. Like these two things are not the same size, but if I bring this one closer, now they're the same size.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're the same size. So that's called scaling and variance. So if Polaris was 46 times farther than our sun, it would look like our sun, right?
If it was 46 times further than our sun?
It's 46 times bigger.
Yeah.
46 times further, it would look like our sun. So if our sun was 1 mile over your head at noon, it would look like this when you look up at the sky, right? It would fill the whole sky. You move it 93 million miles away, it's the size of a coin held at arm's length, about, right? A nickel, a quarter, whatever. You hold it up, kind of covers the sun.
Sure.
Right? If I doubled the distance to the sun, it would be 1/4 of that size. It's called the inverse square law, right? And if I doubled it again, so it's 4 times farther, it'd be like the size of a pencil eraser.
Sure.
If I doubled it again, 8 times as far, it would be like the size of a star. So 8 times the distance of the sun. They tell us the sun is 8 light minutes away. You know what a light minute is? Distance light travels in a minute. So 8 times 8, 64. We'll call it a light hour. At a light hour away, our sun would look like a small star.
Okay.
If I made it 2 light hours away, could you still see it?
No.
Well, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe you could. Maybe you could.
With telescope, yeah.
Well, no, with your naked eye.
Oh, naked eye.
It would be very small, right? So let's make it ridiculous. 24 times farther. So now it's a light day away.
Okay.
You definitely can't see it. The angular size is too small, and the brightness from the angular square law, the inverse square law, it gets dimmer and dimmer. Light spreads out and it gets dimmer and dimmer. So 1, brightness issue. 2, size, can't see it at 1 light day away. So if we put Polaris at 46 light days away, you couldn't see it. 46 light days away. Let's round that up to 2 light months. They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away, but I can see it with my naked eye. I can zoom in on it and make it bigger. 433 light years away.
Wow.
Right? So let's look at this. This is the star Sirius. You know, that's kind of like, it's a bigger star that we see with our naked eye. And this is Orion. It's a little smaller, but I can take my P1000, zoom in, and at regular full zoom, it gets pretty big. Okay. right? That's 50 trillion miles away. But somehow I can make it this big in my zoom. 8.6 light years, 50 trillion miles. Okay.
Okay.
I can also zoom in on Orion and make it almost the same size, a little smaller, right? A little smaller, right? So Orion is 52 million times farther than Sirius. How the fuck did I make it the same size?
Same size, like on that screen, or when you're looking at it from naked eye?
When I zoom in with my camera, I can make it almost the same size on my zoom, but it's 52 million times farther. The reason you can't figure it out is because you can't figure it out because there is no way possibly to do that. Another thing is astrophotography.
Well, yeah, because your camera can't even do that, really. I don't think.
Well, it can if it was small and close and within our system. Here's something. I can zoom in on the moon, right? I got the moon.
But Dave, hold on. I guess this is where I have issues with something. It's like, yeah, it can but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things that we get to here where it's like, yeah, it can like we do it. You have to agree with me here that we're taking some liberties in going either way here, saying the Earth is flat like a disc or Earth.
No, it's not a
round.
disc. It's not flat like a disc. It is level and horizontal. It is topographical.
So it's not even round like a disc.
No, our pond is it appears to be circular. 60 degrees south. We're not allowed to go beyond there. It could be square. Who the hell knows what shape our pond is? Right? We don't know. Right? But it makes sense. But if you think about this, you understand that this is impossible, right? So you can zoom in on the moon, get it perfectly in focus. You can zoom past the moon, and it's out of focus.
So what? So if space is real, what? Okay, go ahead.
Hear me out. I could zoom back in, moon's in focus. I could zoom before the moon, it's out of focus. You understand how zoom works, right? I can zoom in, right? I can do the same with the sun. I could do the same with planets. I could zoom on them, I could zoom past them, and I could zoom before them. The interesting thing is I can zoom in on one of them and just move the telescope from planet to planet, to sun to moon, and they're all in the same focus.
So I've only used shitty telescopes, but I've had to focus the telescope on different
but you've never gone from one to the other without changing the focus. It's the same focus.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. I definitely have. I've had to change the focus from looking at the moon or looking at a star. 100%. Again, these are not great telescopes. They're ones that I've had.
When you do it, try it with planets. All of them will be at the same focus. And again, we have a problem. Have you ever looked up and seen Jupiter in the sky?
No.
Well, Jupiter is literally
or maybe.
It's like super bright in the sky. It's super bright. At least this time of year, this year it was. It's
I saw
super
Saturn
bright.
poking past the moon. That was freaky.
Right. Why do we see the light on planets? You know the heliocentric explanation?
The light off of like the other planets in our solar system?
Yeah, and the moon. Same answer.
Bouncing off the sun or reflecting
the sunlight's reflecting off them. That's what they tell us. Right? So Jupiter, when you look at it, it's literally as bright as the sun. It's just small. It's literally bright. It's a light. So Jupiter is supposedly made of gas, right? It's a dirty, dusty, gassy planet. Gas isn't very reflective, right? And Jupiter is 400 million miles away from the sun. We're only 93 million, so we'll just call it 100 million. So it's 4 times farther. So 4 times farther, if we're on Jupiter looking at the sun would be like the size of a pencil eraser. You have to believe that pencil eraser-sized sun is lighting up the non-reflective surface of Jupiter. It's reflecting 300 million miles minimum back to you on Earth, and we see it as bright as we see it.
Yeah, I mean, if I guess I'm not sure.
You guess. This is a light.
Yeah.
This is a light.
Mm-hmm.
This is the moon. The moon is a light. You can read by it. It casts your shadow on the ground.
But you're saying it actually lights up, or it's...
The moon is its own light. I'm standing outside next to this rock. The sun is shining on it. How come it's not lighting my face up? How come it's not casting my shadow behind me?
Why is there a dark side of the moon then if it's its own light?
There's a dark side of the moon?
Yeah.
Where?
I mean, you could, well, as it's
Have you
going,
ever seen the dark side of the moon?
I mean, from the space station, I've seen,
the
not
space station has
personally,
seen
but
the dark side of the moon? How does the space station get farther than the moon?
I don't know. You can see it when it's rotating around. That part of the moon is black.
No, the moon has phases. But when the moon goes to new moon, which is no light on it, supposedly.
Yeah.
No one has ever seen it for under, I think it's like 32 hours is the minimum. You can't see it. The space station hasn't seen it. Infrared cameras haven't seen it. It has there's not a black dot in the sky, you know, where the moon should be.
If it's not reflecting the sun or being blocked, like what is a quarter moon then? Is it like
it's the phase of the moon? The moon goes through phases. The moon syncs up with women's menstrual cycles. There's 13 moon cycles a year. Women have 13 cycles a year. And if a woman is left, you know, in nature, her period will sync up with the phases of the moon.
Does the sun have phases too and shut off halfway? And
they say that the sun regulates men's cycles. You know, right. The sun is for men and the women are for the moon. I don't know. Oh, that's a whole nother topic to get into.
And that's deep.
Yeah, it is deep. And, you know, my personal opinion is the moon has to do with the delivery and removal of souls on this soul system that we're in.
If the light from the sun is like nuclear fission or whatever the fuck's going on there, what is making that light on the moon? Like what's producing that light?
That's a great question. So if we go here,
I do love Chad, how he's literally got answers for everything.
Well, I don't have answers for everything.
I know that I don't know. I'm not sure on this one.
I don't know, right? But here's how the sun goes. So this line right here is the Tropic of Cancer. And this line out here is the Tropic of Capricorn. The sun takes 6 months to go out to the Tropic of Capricorn on December 21st. And then it makes its way back in. The equator's half of this thin red line right here. It makes its way into June 21st here. So when it's closer, it's higher in the sky. Like if you're outside standing under a streetlight, that's your summer sun. But the streetlight down the road, that's your winter sun. It's at the same height, but it's just farther away. Okay? Now remember, the sun out here has to do a bigger circle, so it's actually going faster. And the sun in here, once around, it's making a smaller loop, so it has to go slower. And all of this, we can show evidence that it does speed up and slow down. But here's the moon right here. So the sun is going...
But how is it doing any of that? Because I'm just asking questions. You said it's possibly square, and you're telling me circles here.
Well, no, the sun's... So this is Antarctica. And it's cold out here because the sun never gets close enough. The sun just goes out to here and then goes back. So Antarctica gets really cold in June because the sun is so far away. And then, so it would make sense that the shoreline is circular. I think it's circular, but I haven't surveyed the whole thing. You know, Captain Cook tried to circumnavigate it, I think 2 or 3 times. And it took him 3.5 years. And he went over 68,000 miles.
Yeah, he was going in circles.
68,000 miles. Antarctica is only supposed to be 10,000 miles around.
He was going in circles on that round Earth day.
Around here. 68,000 miles is bigger than the equator. The equator is 24,000.
But now, if there is a sun, what is it out in if it's not out in space?
The sun is here within the firmament.
Okay.
Right. I think the sun, you know, we live in an incredible toroidal system. So this is the toroid. These are the luminaries that used to be called wandering stars. They now call them planets. We live on this dielectric plane. So this entire electrical living system is
Dave, with your graphic right there. Can I just ask you one question?
Yeah.
So is that technically the center thing where your hand is? That's what you think the Earth looks like?
This is the North Pole right here.
How deep is our ocean? Because here's my question. So if it's like that, you'd have to show depth there, right? That's just showing flat.
Yeah, well, I mean, zoom this into the size of the Earth, and this is going to be thick. The deepest hole ever dug is less than 8 miles. So no one knows what's below 8 miles. Nobody, globe or flat. Deepest hole ever dug, 8 miles. They hit an impenetrable barrier. Sounds like another firmament, if you ask me. And they tried for years to get through it, and they could not. And there's some crazy stories that came out of that also. But so nobody knows what's underneath the Earth.
The core that melts the drills at 8 miles.
Well, no, because so they tell us that, the core is hotter than the sun. Then we have this, and it's 3,000 here, but then it's 57 degrees here in the like, how does that happen? Heat travels through it conducts through solid masses. The Earth is a solid mass, right?
Wait a second. Have you ever been by a volcano and not felt the heat from that thousands?
I haven't, but of course there's heat. But
how do you explain volcanism?
So the Earth, again, we live in this incredible electrical system. There's electrical currents going through the Earth all the time. They create lava tubes, and occasionally those lava tubes burst through the surface and erupt.
Vern Smith says space is fake and gay, so they agree.
It's absolutely. Thanks, Vern. So if the apple was the Earth, they drilled like a quarter of the way through the skin. They were using ground penetrating radar to determine what they're going to hit next. All right, no more rocks. They hit rocks. No more water. They hit water. So they were wrong every step of the way, hit an impenetrable barrier. So the first 7.8 miles, they got it all wrong, but somehow they know what the core is. This is pseudoscience. It's in every science book. This is complete and total made up pseudoscience. There's no proof of this whatsoever. None.
Okay, so how then so world leaders know this then? Like you would say?
Well, not all of them, but most of them. Like Obama mentioned the Flat Earth Society about 8 times in speeches because he wants you to go to the Flat Earth Society.
Well, I guess my question, does Xi Jinping know, does Putin know, and does President Trump know? Those 3.
That's a great question. I don't know. President Trump's pushing Space Force with Elon Musk. Some people say that he's here going to expose them, but I don't know what he knows. I would think that he knows. He's all it seems like he's part of the plan.
Now, if it's been well, here's my question. So if they've been lying to us this long, I understand why Trump, Putin, everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Their governments have been lying for so long. They got to keep this charade going. What made them decide on this to begin with? And how did you get warring countries and shit to believe the same thing and put out that narrative?
So have you looked into the old world at all?
Meaning what by that? Because old world could be.
Yeah. So this is my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app that bypasses all of the shit that they're trying to hide from you. Right. And I have by the way, just throwing it out there for any of your listeners, I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. But before you waste my time, every day, yeah, well, waste my time. The app costs $3, okay? One-time charge. There's a featured video every day. You have to watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that, you can send me your proof. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark button and make sure your question isn't answered there. And we're going to get into why the lie in a second. But these are all of the videos in here are being hidden from you. But when I say the old world, right here is the old world button. It's a griffin. And these are channels and videos that will blow your mind, right? My lunch break is on YouTube, on Rumble. He's everywhere. Just watch the last 3 videos he put out and your mind is going to be blown. You're going to walk out in your own hometown. You're going to go, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? And everything in your life is going to change, right? Everything is a lie. Space is fake and gay. Our history is 100% a lie. All of it.
I agree with history.
Every bit of it, right? When Lewis and Clark crossed the Mississippi to find a trade route to the West Coast, Chicago and San Francisco were fully built out, right? This is on my website.
Dave, this is it. So I think you're like nail on the head on like a lot of the shit you're saying. It's just when you get to this part of it is where hold on, but this is where like you kind of lose some people on some of the real, like some of the more believable things you're saying. I understand that you believe Earth is flat.
I don't believe the Earth is flat. I know it's flat. Okay. You believe it's a circle, but you believe it because of circumnavigation. We proved that wrong. You believe it because of gravity. I showed you proof that gravity's bullshit. You believe it because you thought you saw curvature from an airplane, but we know that we can't even see it from 120,000 feet. It's flat as can be. I showed you how we see in a circle. So you took that off your list.
Dude,
what is the number one thing that you think makes the Earth a ball? I showed you that we can see too far past the physical limits of a ball.
I'll give you a couple.
Give me one. Let's do one at a time.
The fact that everything else in our solar system is round. Everything
else in our solar system is round. Fascinating one. So check this out. So tell me if this, where is it?
And hold on, the firmament. Is it a big fucking glass thing, like projecting? Like, how are they making what we're looking up at?
Who's they?
Whoever fucking is lying to us about the Earth being round.
Great question. So let's just stick with this. So is this the sun or the moon?
I wouldn't know by a picture.
All right, you wouldn't know, but it's spherical, right? It could be a planet, right? Sure. So let's fast forward, and we'll see that it's actually a train, and it's not a sphere at all. It's all different shapes. Hold on, why is it going so slow? So our eyes see things as spheres. And that's wasn't a sphere, but I could have convinced you that it was a sun, moon, or possibly a planet. And then when our consumer optics have outgrown their lies. So if we look, if we go back here, this is
but you just did something, Dave, that anybody with a telescope could do. Like you zoomed it, or you let the train get closer so we can see.
I'm showing you right now. This is the star Betelgeuse. It is 211 trillion miles away. Remember how far a trillion is? Forget it. And this is what we see. Does this look like a burning ball of gas and hydrogen? How do they make it bigger? Why does it have these patterns? Right? If we look at this one, this is another star. I don't know the name of it, but does this look like what they tell us it is? Or does this look like something possibly sentient? Right? This looks angelic to me, if you ask me. Right? But NASA will show us stuff like this and say, oh, this is where stars come from. This is a nebula and it's made of dust and gas. So now we have dust and gas in a space vacuum. How the fuck do you have dust and gas in a space vacuum? Gas violently fills the available space.
Right. Well, when an asteroid crashes into something.
Hold on. This making stars, and then after a star is made, it spits it out like a ping pong ball machine, and the star just runs and finds a little spot and plants itself in our galaxy. Bullshit. This is nonsense. This is absolute and total make-believe Narnia. People from Narnia laugh at that stuff, right? This is the star Betelgeuse. Does that look like a burning ball of gas in a space vacuum? How do you have gas in a vacuum?
It looks like a blurry one. If you look at the high-def videos that they have of the sun, it looks exactly like that.
No, it doesn't. If you look at that, you're watching nonsense from NASA that no one else has access to.
Well, then what is that, dude? If I'm watching NASA,
I don't know what this is, but
okay,
if you
it's biblically, that's nonsense.
Well,
that's
this
nonsense.
This is what we see in reality.
No,
right?
The sun video from NASA is what you see in reality. That looks like some blurry fucking thing that you
got to check out.
No,
we have people with hydrogen alpha telescopes, Crow 777 radio, great podcast,
and they're better than NASA's.
Way better.
Okay,
way better. Okay, NASA is constantly lying about everything. So you believe that there's men and people on the space station, right?
Yeah.
You do.
I've seen the space station with my own eyes.
Just like if you saw satellites, you're like, I just showed you that you can't see satellites.
I never saw a satellite through a telescope.
But you saw the space station
through a telescope 100%. Yeah.
I've seen it also. Right.
Okay.
But you saw a light in the sky. How far away is it?
I don't know, dude. I do measure with my eyes like that.
I do. When it's directly above you, it's 250 miles away. Everywhere else, it's farther. So I saw it. It showed up right when it was supposed to, and it came right over me, and I saw it for 4 more minutes. Well, it's traveling 17,500 miles an hour for 4 more minutes. I'm in Connecticut. It should have been in California. So now I could see something the size of a 747, 3,000 miles away. I can still see it, and it's as bright as the sun, and it's shining on me. It's reflecting the sun. You have to think these things through.
So what were you seeing?
I'm seeing a light in the sky. I don't know what anything in the sky is. The only thing you could say about anything in the sky is that it's a light. That's the only thing you could honestly say about anything in the sky.
All right, so I got this, basically it's like a fucking LED screen is our sky, and the moon has its own lighting source that has phases and goes half quarter, and we don't know where that's from.
We don't know is a fine answer. Is a fine answer. Claiming you know based on nonsense and things that defy natural law, that's not a good place to be. I'm on the space station. I've been fooling you the whole time, right? I'm on a space station, right? How would you know? Like, and the stuff that they do on the space station is ridiculous. For example, this is from a live stream.
Yeah.
Hold on. Give me a second. Why is that
I'm
showing?
not saying everything they send from the space station is real, Dave.
I'm
just
saying
it's
everything is fake. I'm saying everything is fake. Why is that? So
crazy.
See that guy? He just faded in. Where'd he come from? Where'd he come from? Why is that? Oh, here we go. Watch. Here he comes again.
Yeah.
He just faded in. So use your common sense.
But Dave, hold on a second. What video is that? And is NASA so dumb that they fucking making us believe the Earth is round and
Great question.
And then they're fucking up that?
Great question. There's two possibilities.
Sure.
One, they're that fucking dumb.
Okay.
Two, revelation of the method. They always have to give us a chance to see the truth. Okay. So here it is again. This guy just pops in and pops out. This was on a live stream. Doesn't matter whether they're stupid or doing it on purpose. That was on a live stream. And then the Globers put out shit like
this is again where I have problems.
This one's not real. This is fake.
Yeah.
This one's fake.
Okay. But again, I don't know that original video. And when you show me things like this on your back screen, it just can be fake. I'm not saying
I agree with you. Yeah. And I'm saying you need to verify. You need to take the time and see everything that we do. This is from NASA, right? This is a very cloudy day on Earth. Like, when was the Earth covered in that much clouds, right? And then
tropical storms have been there, but
that much of the Earth. And what happened here? What is this seam? Is this a stitching error? This was on a live stream of theirs. Okay, there's no other explanation other than they're faking this. It's all fake.
Wait, but you're saying that can't be a clearing in the clouds?
This line, look at this seam. Do you see the seam?
Oh. Yeah, let me make that bigger for the audience because I couldn't.
You see that seam? This is a stitching error.
Yeah, we've already established that there's stitching errors.
This is a live feed from NASA. A live feed from NASA. You're just making excuses.
I'm not making excuses.
That is an excuse. That is an excuse, right? This is them on the space station. This is on a zero-G plane, right?
Sure.
So check this out. This was on a live newscast. This was years ago. And they said, we're going to connect to the space station, right? And during that broadcast, all of a sudden, everyone slammed into the wall and they cut away. They're like, oh, something happened, right? Well, you know about the zero-G plane? You know, it takes a parabolic arc and you could float for 20, 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, but all you're doing is telling me stuff that I already have a problem with. Like, I think that a lot of these videos are fake. I think they're bullshit. I think they're doing some Hollywood trickery here.
NASA's doing Hollywood trickery.
Yeah.
So you still believe there's people on the space station?
Yes, dude, because even if I'm NASA and I'm even the fucking moon landing, probably fake videos. They probably did it in a fucking warehouse somewhere. But do I think they went to the moon? Yeah. Do I think they spruced up the footage to make it look better?
They went to the moon?
Yeah.
You actually think they went to the moon?
Yeah. And I believe the pictures from the Mars rover. I believe that too.
Wow. Okay. So this guy right here, right? Let's go back. Where's the sun? The sun's over here, right? Because the shadow's going that way.
See, this is the problem. You're using TikTok videos and not the original video. But go ahead.
You can find the videos.
That is not the original video, dude. Look at the coloring.
I know, but this is from NASA. And I have tons. There's tons. There's tons and tons. You could find this on there's many sites. The thing is, I'm just showing you quick things to show you. So here's the shadow.
Yeah.
And he's going to hop out here, panning to the right. You can see the shadows are still going a little bit. Pan to the right. We didn't go that far. And now the shadow is going that way.
Right.
And then he's going to go to the right a little farther.
Dave,
And
are you going to say that they didn't have an alternate lighting source with their camera when they were doing this?
Yeah, I'm going to say that because they say that. Right. And so now the shadow's going in the opposite direction.
They said they had no light on their camera.
They said there's no lights on the moon, only the sunlight. That's all they had. That's what they say. That's what they say. Verify it. Don't believe me.
As in, like, the moon doesn't have lights on it, but
the
their
moon doesn't have lights.
Their craft had lights on it. There's pictures of it. Dude, there's pictures of the light on the
craft light. The craft light is lighting all of this up and causing the shadow. Where's the craft? The craft is back the other way.
I'm saying possible, and I already said to you, I believe this is a fake video.
I said, you're just making up excuses. You're scrambling to protect your globular belief. Now watch here. You got 2 light reflections, and then you'll see 2 more.
And
so
Dave,
watch.
I wish the Earth was flat, dude. I want this to all be a lie.
Pay attention. Stop making excuses.
Sure.
Look, 1, 2 light reflections, and when he turns, you're going to see 3, 4. 3, 4. You see those 4 lights?
Yeah, could be off the spacecraft.
Off the spacecraft.
Yeah.
It couldn't be something like that, right? Though, no.
100% it could be, and I believe it is. I do believe that.
Spacecraft didn't have lights. Go look it up. The spacecraft did not have lights. There's no spotlights on the spacecraft.
The lunar landing vehicle.
The lunar landing did not have spotlights that were lighting up their scene. Right?
Pull it up, Bobby.
Yeah. Do you watch the dune buggy floating or going around? They're driving a dune buggy around. You know, there's where did those lights come from?
I would add to that too.
Yeah.
I would make it look more.
Dude, I don't know if I can help you because you're just making excuses, right? You're just literally making excuses.
I am literally trying to take your point of view and make it make sense. And
explain this. This light on Earth casts my shadow on the ground. I could read a book by it. This guy's in the sunlight on Earth, on the moon, and the inverse square law of light says that it should be like thousands of times brighter for me to see it this bright, right? It should be literally as bright as we see the sun. That's how bright the moon would, as bright as we see the sun from Earth, the moon would need to be that bright when you're on the moon for us to see it this bright. But this is what we have. If you can't discern that this is an impossibility, I can't help you.
Sorry. Yeah. Then you definitely can't help me.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Again, just the explanations aren't adding up. The moon.
You're right. They don't add up. They don't add up. The globe model doesn't add up at all.
The moon having its own light source.
The moon is its own light source.
From what?
Biblically, God said he created 2 lights in the sky.
It's a rock, though.
It's a rock that's reflecting light so bright I can read by it. Show me a rock that reflects light.
Well,
that'll cast a shadow on you.
Let me blow up a nuclear fission bomb near that rock. Yeah, you might have some reflection of it.
Wait a minute, hold on. I can look. I showed you before. The ball. I showed you. Where is it? Right here. So I'm standing right next to this rock, so I don't have to worry about the inverse square law of light getting dimmer and dimmer. The sun is shining on this rock, and it's not a light. But this rock is 250,000 miles away.
Can you look at the bottom right of that rock? Is it dark?
The sun's over here.
Right.
The sun's over here. So where is the light that's bouncing off of this? Right. So this is a 3/4. This would be a 3/4 of a moon.
You're looking at it from the wrong angle.
When you see 3/4 of a moon, it still lights you up. You can still read by it. Okay. So this is 3/4 of a moon.
Yeah.
Okay. It should be bright.
No.
This is shinier.
Where the light source is from.
Dude. When there's 3/4 of a moon, it's still bright. It still casts a shadow on the ground.
The moon does.
Yeah, because it's a light source.
I've never seen the moon cast a shadow. I've seen it cast light where I could see my shadow.
I've never seen. Yeah, that's what I mean. It casts it lights you up and you can see your moon shadow.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So why isn't this casting a shadow? Why isn't this lighting me up? This is not a light. This is reflecting light.
Because the light source isn't the sun, dude.
The sun is the light source for this. And you say the sun is the light source for this.
Atmosphere. There's a big difference.
Dude, now you're throwing atmosphere in there.
Yes, because that's part of it.
So the light coming off the moon from 250,000 miles away is not passing through our atmosphere.
The moon from the light that's reflecting, yeah, it is.
I don't know what else to say, dude. You enjoy your ball.
I guess I will. I guess I will.
So what's your number one reason that you think the Earth is a globe?
So here it is. I would love it if the Earth was flat.
Why? Why would you love that?
Because then it would really make sense of the world. The fact that we're all so easily
world
led and naive.
Well, I like what you just said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I mean, it would make a lot more sense that there's a couple fucking evil people in the world that control everything and blah, 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 blah. But the way that doesn't make sense is that there's all these different countries. There's all these different leaders. They all hate each other.
No, that's what they tell you. All the countries, they all hate each other, but they all agree on two things. Nobody can go to Antarctica or the North Pole, right? Unsupervised. And everybody has to get the lethal injection in their arm. They all agree on those things, right? Yeah. They all agree on that, but they could work on the space station together, and all the astronauts in the world trained in Florida at the same base. Did you know that? All astronauts in the world train at NASA. But everything else, we're at war. Bullshit. It's all about dividing and conquering. They literally divide us. They want us 6 feet apart. They divide us by sports teams, by countries, by religion, by political party, dividing the sexes now and making, they're dividing everything. And that's,
I agree with all that.
Illusion. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. And it's to keep our numbers down. It's to keep us, divided, to keep us fighting. It's literally a spiritual war that we're in. And if you can't see it, you'll never win that war or live to your full potential.
I see it with everything you're saying, except for the Earth being round. Everything else where they're fucking trying to do control and stuff, completely get it. But
what's your number one reason that the Earth is a ball?
It's too big of a secret to keep. One, the fact that you look.
The secret's out. The secret's out. It's just people like you that won't look at the evidence.
Let me tell you my reasons why, and then you could refute them each one.
Yeah.
The fact that you look into space and everything out there is round.
I showed you that how everything looks round, and that not everything is round. And I showed you what stars look like. They don't look round to me.
Right.
When you zoom in on them, they don't look round.
When you zoom in on them, you do, like through a telescope. Yes, they do.
I just showed you a whole bunch of stars.
You showed me a magnified image on your screen. I'm telling you what I've seen through a telescope with my own eyes.
Dude,
that's it.
You zoom in properly.
Yeah. Okay.
And our zoom cameras are stronger than most telescopes now.
That's not true.
That is
not true.
It absolutely is true.
Dude, the Samsung phone that could take images of the moon was proved to be AI fake bullshit. There's no way you're telling me. Yeah. There's no camera lens.
The Nikon P1000
is nowhere near a telescope.
Which telescope are you talking about?
One that I could buy in Kmart.
Yeah. So, dude, there's
or Walmart.
we have powerful telescopes that are looking in and seeing the same thing. They're seeing the same thing.
All right.
Right? So everything in space being round, everything in the distance is round.
Okay.
Zooming in and making stars bigger that are 50 trillion times farther away, 50 million times farther away, and making them the same size, that's impossible, but you don't want to look at that.
Maybe I'm not zooming in far enough is what you're saying.
You can only zoom in a certain distance, and if I'm able to zoom something to make it a certain size, and then the other one I can make it almost that same size, and it's 50 million times farther, makes no sense. It would have to be 50 million times bigger, and a factor of 50 million times brighter, because the brightness would get dimmer over distance, right? When you actually understand,
I don't know how light travels through the vacuum.
Light
time
travels,
of space.
It spreads out.
On
By
Earth,
the light bulb,
I believe it
spreads out.
On Earth, I believe that.
Everywhere, in space too.
I don't know that.
Well, you don't know that because space doesn't exist, but NASA,
that's right.
It doesn't exist. NASA
so why are these countries that are all training their astronauts training them in Florida if there's nowhere
because they
for
need
them
them
to
be on the same page when they're faking something? They need them to have the same stories and the same things. Because the astronauts screwed up. They've been asked, what were the stars like when you went to the moon? And some astronauts say, I never saw stars. The other one says they were bright. Other people say you can't see stars. Then you can see them all the time. They got it. They got it.
What's the
totally
whole point
wrong.
of having astronauts in the first place?
To make that's the good point. To make you believe you live on a ball. Now, why? Why would they lie? Okay, why would they lie?
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of the reasons are to hide free energy, to hide the creator, to hide your spirituality, hide more land, hide more resources, hide scientific knowledge of what's in Antarctica, hide that we're at the center of creation and that we're special. That's a starter. Right?
So they want to basically depopulate and stuff like that because we don't have enough resources.
That's what they say. All the people in the world, every family in the world could have a half an acre in Texas, and the rest of the world would be empty.
Well, Elon Musk is saying that we're like need to start fucking more because we don't have enough like babies being born, and that we're at the verge of going like extinct. So he wants people to actually have more.
Well, there's a second motivation behind everything. They want people panicking that the population is going down because our thoughts create our reality. They want us panicking that there's a reset coming so they can issue in a reset. They want us freaking out as much as possible because that freak out brings in the negative. Your thoughts, your emotions attract that vibration. So they need us to create the world that they want, right?
All they need to say is there's a fucking asteroid coming at us at fucking billion miles per hour, and it's coming in fucking 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so you'll freak out. I'm just going to go party and have a good time and not worry about it because I know that it's fake.
Well, you're in the minority then, dude.
No, I'm not. Well, I'm not in the minority. There's tons and tons of people. There's tons and tons of people that are waking up to the nonsense, especially after Katy Perry went into fake space. That one's waking people up. This is on my app. I have a friend finder. I just want to show you. This represents less than 1% of the flat earthers. So here we are. These are people that are awake and aware that would not be afraid of an asteroid coming in, right? And it's worldwide. They're even down in South America, Australia. There's tons of people waking up to the truth of our world. And when you become a flat earther, unless you've been compromised, you never go back. Once you go flat, you never globe back.
All right. Well, let's get this answered from Billy Boy here, and then we'll take it down. I'll see if there's any other questions, but let's see here. Holy shit, there's a ton.
So one last thing is and then hit the questions. We're incredible spiritual beings that we have a connection into the system, and we have way more power. They want us to believe that our DNA is mostly junk DNA and we only use 10% of our brains. That's what they want. They want us to believe that. But the truth is we're incredibly spiritual, connected, powerful beings. But when you globatize us, you literally disconnect us and you put us in a world of fear and lack. Asteroids, shortages, global warming, overpopulation. That's what the globe does. It disconnects you from reality. All right, go ahead.
I believe you answered this one earlier, but we'll just put it up there for now. If the earth is flat, why can't we see Mount Everest from everywhere on earth, especially from places at sea level with a clear line of sight?
Yeah, great question. Because our eyes aren't Superman's eyes. So let me show you. For example, the light attenuates into the air. So light doesn't travel forever. So here we are in Illusia, France, and we're looking out over the ocean here. And out here is Mount Canigou. And Mount Canigou is 175 miles away. You can't see it. And the reason you can't see it if you're a glober is because according to the Earth Curve Calculator, based on this location, its elevation, the top of Mount Canigou should be over a half a mile below the curve of the Earth. Great. You have to remember that the sun travels in between the two tropics, and twice a year, it lines up with the viewer and Mount Canigou, right? And so the light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou isn't strong enough to push through 175 miles of soupy air. But the sun is much brighter. And as the sun goes beyond and starts backlighting Mount Canigou, the top right there should be over a half a mile below the curve. Now, the globers say, oh, the answer for that is that actually the sun has already set and Mount Canigou is a half a mile, the top of it's a half a mile below the physical curve, but the sun is refracting up to pretend to be where it's not, and the mountain is refracting up and blocking that refracted sunlight. That's retarded. Okay, next. That's why you can't see Mount Everest. You can't even see the end of a long hallway.
Boom. Please ask Dave to explain the following fact. If someone in the north, anywhere north, watches the sunset, the sun will set left to right if you are looking west. If someone in the south watches the same sunset, the sun will set
right to left.
Brian Marsh, is that what we were going for?
Well,
I don't know the answer.
So you're looking at the North Star. The stars are going from your right shoulder to your left shoulder, right? They're going from your right shoulder to your left shoulder. And the higher up you look, right shoulder to left shoulder. So that's counterclockwise, right shoulder to left shoulder. It's going all the way over. And if I turn around and I face the south, it's going from my left shoulder to my right shoulder, which is now clockwise. Did they change directions or did I just turn around?
I think he's saying if you were at the north and then went to the south, like the pole.
It's the same thing. You're just facing in the other direction. That's all.
Did you hear that? Same. So it's going in the same direction if you're north or south.
All the luminaries rise in the east and set in the west. And the other thing is we're corkscrewing through space, but somehow none of the stars ever change. We're going 4.4 billion miles a year, never to move, never to go back to where we were before. And none of the stars ever change. You know what are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones?
The who?
Yes.
The Georgia Guidestones. You are, right? Mm-hmm. Besides the whole never let population rise over 500 million again on there and in 10 different languages, there is a little tiny hole in the center stone. And when you look through it, you can see Polaris. And if you do a time lapse, Polaris doesn't move. It's right there. It's a tiny little hole like a straw. And there's Polaris all year long. You can see it all the time. Okay. So they say that we're traveling, 4.4 billion miles a year, but somehow Polaris never moves because Polaris is so far away. There's no parallax. Even though for thousands of years we're flying, Polaris never moves because there's no parallax. That's retarded, but okay. It's just stupid. But the Earth is also wobbling. Every 76 years, it wobbles 1 degree.
Yeah.
1 degree is 3 moon wisps side by side in the sky. That's 1 degree.
North will eventually be south?
Yeah, well, that's what they tell. Whatever. It's wobbling 1 degree a year. This was built in 1980 or 81. It was up for over 40 years, and Polaris was still in the hole. It should have been 1.5 moon wisps out of that hole, but it was still there. So we made some videos on it showing that this absolutely is rock solid proof that the Earth is not wobbling. And guess what happened? Boom. The Georgia Guidestones were blown up by a terrorist. 3 hours later, bulldozers came in, knocked the entire thing down, stole the time capsule, no investigation.
What?
That did happen, yeah. I know that.
Dude, like I said, I believe and agree 90% of what Dave is saying. This I'm 100%
believing. You need to know. You need to know things. Believing is easy. Where am I? I'm in Connecticut, right?
Okay.
Do you believe it or you know it?
I believe it.
Oh, good. See, now that's great. Belief is easy. It takes no effort. To know it, you're going to have to do a little work. You can figure it out. Go to my Facebook, see the pictures, grab the metadata, and like,
well, the problem is the work I've done leads all roads to Earth being round.
So far, every single thing that you have brought up, I have shown you a flat Earth explanation that makes more sense.
Not true.
Which one did I not address?
I mean, the whole.
Which one? Don't say the whole. Specific.
Well, this is how I talk. I'm getting to the whole meaning the sun. Like, right. Let me get.
By the way, I don't mean I get a little heated. This is fun. We're having fun, right?
Fun, 100%, dude. Right, if we were together, we'd be hugging and all that.
I'd probably punch you at this point.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's all fun. But no, so the sun, like everything that's out in space, but you say there's no space.
Everything. Look at do you have lights in your ceiling right now?
Yes.
What shape are they?
How cheap?
What shape are they?
Oh, round.
Okay, how about your floor? How come your floor is not round? Because they're not lights in the sky. Okay? Stop. I think the moon is spherical, to be honest. And I think the sun that we see is spherical. I don't know if they're physical, but I think they're spherical.
Okay. Right? That makes
So your belief that, hey, because apples are round, that means bananas are round. No, it's non-correlated. So go ahead. What was the other? You had other things. What else was there?
Yeah, just a bunch. Well, again, because we disagree on a bunch. You say snipers don't account for curvature.
Go look it up. You'll see that they don't. They don't
shooting anything.
Right, and the railgun shoots over 100 miles away. Absolutely. They can see the target and they can hit the target with a line drive projectile. There would be a mountain over a mile tall in between them, and it can't.
When you say line drive projectile, no arc, none.
No.
Okay. What else.
Yeah, you think that they're lobbing it over a mountain? There's the ocean is most of it's abyssal plain. It's flat. A submarine sitting on the bottom of the ocean can send sonar out and see another submarine over 100 miles away. At 100 miles, there would be a mountain of earth over a mile tall. So you'd have to imagine that sonar is going over the mountain, hitting the submarine, coming back over the mountain and back to the submarine. That's not how sonar works.
Sound waves don't bounce off of things?
They bounce off the mountain. Yes, it would hit the mountain. It would come back and say, I don't see a sub. There's a mountain in the fucking way. That's what would happen.
Oh. I thought the sonar system was all set up with like relays and shit like that.
Sonar underneath is from submarine to hit an object and then it comes back. It tells you what's in front of you. There's no relays. There's no repeaters. There's nothing like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it works. Earth is flat. That's how it works.
Okay.
So wait, here's another thing we didn't touch on, and I don't know, this one gets a lot of people. So if you're on a globe, right? Let me just so you're on a globe and the northern hemisphere is on the top, southern hemisphere on the bottom, here's the equator in the middle, and we pick any two airports in the north, any two, doesn't matter. Would the plane ever need to go below the equator to get to that other airport? Even if it was like right on the equator here and on the equator over here, it would never go below the equator. It would just go around or maybe even over, right?
Again, tailwind, stuff like that, atmospheric stuff.
I'm asking you, does it make, forget that. Does it make sense that they would not need to go below the equator for the shortest distance? The shortest distance.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They sometimes don't fly the shortest distance because of what's happening in between there. Sometimes it's quicker to go a tailwind than it is to fight the wind.
Yeah. So if you actually look at the winds in the north, there's winds that will keep you in the north. The answer is no, you would never need to go below the equator. And the facts of the matter is no flights in the north from a northern starting point to a destination ever go below the equator, because it doesn't make sense. They don't. Makes perfect. Matches. Works great. In the south, the same should be true.
I've flown from London to South Africa, over Africa. I went past the equator.
South Africa. Well, that's because South Africa is in the south.
Okay.
It's southern hemisphere.
I thought you just said.
No, I meant any northern airport to another northern airport. So anything above the equator, you would never go below. And so the same should be true in the south, right? The same should be true in the south. New Zealand, right? Australia's over around the corner here. You got Argentina. FlightAware says this would be the shortest route. We're not going over Antarctica, so we won't disturb the penguins. And this would be the shortest flight route. So that makes sense. But in reality, the flight route goes from New Zealand across the equator to San Francisco to Texas, and then all the way back down to Argentina. That's freaking crazy.
I've seen a video debunking this, saying that there are flights from New Zealand.
And maybe it's picking up passengers over in.
You can make up that excuse,
LA.
or you can just look at it on a flat Earth map: New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Texas, Argentina. It's funny how all of these cockamamie globe routes are straight lines on a flat Earth. It's weird. It's just weird how that always happens. When the World Cup happened, they went from Doha to Rome to get fuel, and then they went to Buenos Aires. Now, there goes your argument. They didn't have any passengers. It was a private plane, private pilot. They just wanted to go home, but they went to Rome, which didn't bring them any closer. But Doha, Rome, Buenos Aires. They can't get fuel in the middle of the ocean, so they fueled up here, and then they continued the trip. It's always a straight line when it comes to that. This is
why not just go Doha back the way they came?
It's a straight line. They went in a straight line.
But then what's the one from Rome to there? I don't understand the difference.
They went to fuel up. They went from Doha to Rome to get more fuel, and then they went here. Now,
but it went from Buenos Aires to Dura or whatever without needing the fuel.
I never said that.
Oh, I thought that's what the triangle was, completing its pass. It went there.
No. This line is like, why didn't they go this way? Right? I don't know. Actually, I don't know what they did on the way there. That's interesting. We should try to find that out. But this is they didn't report on their trip, but they reported when they were going back that the winning team, they're stopping in Rome first. What are they going to say hi to the Pope? Okay. So again, there's also emergency landings that happen where somebody dies or has a heart attack. They need to land a plane. And every time they land a plane, they end up in a weird spot. I'll just show you one.
Like the butt?
That's funny. So New York to New Zealand had an emergency here. They went to Fiji. Right? That's weird, right? And if you look, New York, Fiji, New Zealand. Here's a zoom in. It just happened to be on the path. It's not over here. The globe says it's over here, but it happened to be right on the path. And this is one that's interesting. Hong Kong, it was going to the UK. It ended up stopping 12 hours later in Germany because 4 hours into the flight, a mother died. Full flight, husband, small kids, mom's dead in her chair, covered in a blanket. They can't do anything. But they didn't land.
Jesus.
They didn't land at 100 possible airports. And then they finally landed in Germany. Why is that? And the answer is because if they landed, people like me would have figured out, proven, like they were over Russia. So they would have landed in Russia, and we could have said, look, they landed in Russia because the earth is flat. So they couldn't land in Russia. 8 hours. There's no excuse for that. And it always happens to be that they're on a straight line. And then
so every pilot is in on this too.
Most of them don't know. They're just glorified bus drivers. However, Qantas pilots, the ones that are in the South that have all these southern routes, they've all figured it out. They talk about it amongst themselves in the lounges, but they don't talk about it publicly because if they do, they get grounded and they lose their cushy job. We had a KLM pilot come on Globebusters, a woman, senior pilot, captain, and she explained how the earth is flat, how they do it, everything. And she was grounded the next day. And
they probably should have thrown her in a loony bin.
Because she understands. Well, how about this? If when a pilot is coming into an airport, he needs to calculate from like 100, 125 miles out. It says, okay, passengers, get ready, get your seatbelts on, whatever. We're going to be descending. We're going to be, we'll be there in about 20 minutes. We're 125 miles from the airport. So the pilot has to calculate how many feet per mile he needs to drop so he can land on the runway. Right? However, that's a flat earth calculation. At 125 miles out, the earth dips 2 miles. So if he doesn't calculate that extra 2 mile dip, he's going to be 2 miles too high when he gets to the airport.
25 miles is a 2 mile dip, you're saying? 125 miles.
125 miles. Okay.
And you're saying he doesn't account for that?
It's a flat earth calculation. Hey, I'll take a from you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say because you're landing on the surface that you're landing on is going to be flat.
It's flat, but there's a 2 mile because the earth is flat. You've got it. This is what you believe is going on when someone's flying around the earth, that they're doing a spiraling figure 8, going 1,000 miles an hour here sideways, pirouetting here. How's it getting this tangential speed? How's it possibly even doing this? This is an impossibility. Okay.
We're in the
here
atmosphere.
It's going 1,000 miles an hour sideways. Up here, it's not moving sideways at all.
With it.
If you took off from the North Pole or Alaska, you're moving, let's say 100 miles an hour, but the runway's spinning at 100 miles an hour around the small circumference. You fly to Ecuador.
Yeah.
How's that plane going to get the other 900 miles an hour of sideways tangential speed to land? And you can't say it's in the atmosphere.
The graphic you're showing is like kind of showing the plane not spinning with the earth, but it's spinning with the earth. So it's part of that atmosphere. So while it's over the USA here and the USA spinning like this, it's spinning with it. So it would never.
So right here, how fast is the plane moving sideways? 1,000 miles an hour.
It's in
it's 1,000 miles an hour.
It's in the earth.
1,000 miles an hour. You could say it.
No, the earth is. So let's just say what the plane is on is moving
the plane
that.
To stay over this point on the earth has to be moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. What?
No, the Earth does, dude. That the plane is in, not the.
So the plane has to match that spin. It has to be moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay.
Correct. Not the plane itself. It's all part of the Earth that it's in. I don't know how to explain.
How fast is it moving sideways?
It's not the Earth is moving sideways. But everything in Earth is
You're going to get destroyed in the comments when the flat earthers show up here, dude. It's going to be bad. Listen, I'm going to apologize for the flat earthers right now. They're yeah, okay.
I love them all.
They're spirited and they're passionate.
Let me just say one thing. Mike, the situation from the Jersey Shore is a flat earther. That should tell you everything you need to know.
He's a smart guy. You know, he's a smart guy for sure.
I agree. Tax evasion and going to jail for it. Pretty smart, dude.
So let me show you this one. This one will hopefully this one will get you. If I could find it, of course. All right. So here's a plane flying, and you're always on the top of the ball from your point of view. So if you're flying around the Earth, the stars in the distance you're going over the Earth, so the stars in front of you will end up being over you, right? So if I'm looking at some stars here, and I'm looking at those stars, my fingers are the stars. I fly halfway around the Earth. Now those stars are above me, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, but the Earth is also spinning and rotating too.
No, well,
that's part of it.
So hang in there, my friend.
Okay.
So here's a flight from Germany to Brazil. And we're looking at these stars, and they're not rising up. They're going with the spin. They're moving. The plane turns every once in a while. These stars are not rising up. We're diving halfway around the ball, and the stars are not rising. They're not rising. This is what Google Earth says you should see. The stars should be rising up, up, up. As you go halfway over the ball, the stars in front of you should be over your head. So
if you're moving and the Earth isn't, yes. But if the Earth is moving,
we're flying south. We're not flying east. We're not flying west. The stars are moving at 1,000 miles an hour, at the equator. But we're going 500. We're going south. They're only moving sideways. And the other thing is, if you want to say that they're canceling each other out, when we come back, then the stars should be going twice as fast. They should be going.
So, Dave, is the sky that we're looking at a screen?
I don't know what it is, but the stars are fixed in the sky. They never change. Never once do you have parallax where two stars change because we're all moving. You know, they say that 80% of our stars are in binary orbits. Some of them are in trinary orbits, right? We're traveling 4.5 billion miles a year, but none of the stars ever change. None of the stars ever change.
I mean, I look up in the sky and I don't see the same sky every night. I will say that.
Because it changes at the time of year. So here's one for you. This one will blow your mind. And I don't know if you're going to be able to. It's very simple, but you're not going to have an answer. So you're going to be shuffling for an explanation. So this is.
Don't think me asking questions is me being like, fuck this guy, he's wrong. I'm just like trying to get to where you're at here.
Where is no, I don't want to believe me. You just want to know the truth, right?
Well, isn't that how faith starts? You
just want to know the truth. Oh, I guess you want to know the truth. So, I don't want the Earth to be flat. I just want to know the truth, and I found the truth. I found the truth. We're not on a spinning, friggin' lumpy, wet space rock that defies natural law. Yeah.
So this is it. Are we even on a planet?
We're on a plane. A plane.
Are there other planets?
They used to be called wandering stars. There's nothing physical in the sky other than the firmament itself.
Are there other planes?
Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more beyond us.
What attaches them to anything? So, like, if this isn't like just like from here to the ground, and we're like resting on whatever is a physical ground. Once you get past Antarctica,
maybe there's other ponds beyond, thousands of miles beyond Antarctica, and those will be called other pieces of the plane, if you will, or a planet. Interesting.
So the infinite universe is like
it could be an extended plane. We don't know, but I think that there are other planes, other pieces of the plane or planets. So here we are. If you're right on this side of the ball.
Wait, but one question to that. So other pieces of the planets, Are their governments keeping them on the outside?
There's a book called The Iron Republic, and it's about a politician in the late 1800s that got fed up with what was going on here, and he sold everything, got a nice big ship, went to Antarctica, and ended up going through an opening, and then they were back in the sea, and they were lost. The stars were all different, and 3 months later, they saw land, and they saw a city, and in the morning, they waited till the morning, and a boat came out and greeted them. And they're like, hey, we're at the Iron Republic. I was like, well, we're from America. Where's the Iron Republic? They're like, well, it's on the other side of the ice wall, about the same distance as America. And they didn't understand.
Why were they so freely giving that info?
Well,
or they
you got to go. You can read the book, or you can just search on YouTube.
You're telling me I'm getting the Cliff Notes from you. Come on, bud.
You don't have to read the book. Somebody read it for you. There's an audio version on YouTube. It's called Iron Republic. On the channel's called The Morgile. Just look it up and listen to it. And it's fascinating story. Now, does it prove anything? The only thing it proves is they were talking about more land beyond Antarctica in the 1800s. Okay. So, and then watch my lunch break and you'll understand that all of our history is a lie. So over here is midnight. And so we're looking that way at all the stars that are that way, right? All the stars that are out there. At midnight, you're here. This would be 12 noon. You're looking at the sun. You can't see any stars. Agreed? 6 months later, midnight is now that way.
It's opposite. Okay.
And we could see many of the same stars. How is that possible? Because
I don't know that
it's
is
not
possible.
But we do see the same stars. Not all of them. And there's a reason for that. If you understand how the luminaries move around and everything. Again, I can't teach you all of that right now, but my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. Look into the star rotation. Look into on the frequently asked questions page. It'll keep you busy for quite some time. So this right here, it's
proof.
It's an impossibility on the globe. Do you know what the analemma is? You know what an analemma?
But now, Dave, if they created that possibility, that impossibility, because it's got to be created, right? If we're not in space, there's no sun, like whatever we're looking at has to be created or whatever. Why would they make that fuck up? Where 6 months later, when it should be
fluoridated and vaccinated to fucking realize how stupid they are. How's that? I'm not. What I'm saying is, why would they give you things?
Why would they fuck something like that up? That's
how would you fix that
right there?
How can you fix that? You could hide the stars by maybe chemtrailing the skies, sure.
Yeah, or changing whatever fucking
they didn't make the sky.
The sky is.
The world is intelligently designed. There is a creator. That's the number one thing. Okay. Now, I used to be a full-on atheist. I don't believe in anything. I believed in evolution and everything. But when I discovered that this place is intelligently designed, I had no choice. It's like you're in the middle of a jungle. Your first day on Earth. You don't know anything. You're just walking, and you come across a 100-story skyscraper building. You know there's a builder. You don't know who it is. You can't. You can, but you know there's a builder. This place is intelligently designed.
Yeah,
that's what they don't want you knowing. They hate the creator. They don't want a world of people that are awake and aware that know that we're at the center of creation, right? They tell us, to believe that you're at the center of the universe is very arrogant. Neil deGrasse Tyson would say, because the universe is so big. I agree. In a heliocentric universe, to believe that we're at the center is very egotistical, but we're not. We are the center. This is all that there is. This was created for us. This is part of it. This is called the analemma. You take a picture of the sun every single day at the same time or every week at the same time at noon, and it makes a small loop and then a big loop. If the Earth was a globe, both loops would be the same size because it goes around on its tilt, and the same thing would happen. The reason there's a small loop is because this is the northern analemma when the sun is making that smaller loop, and in the winter, when it's out over the Tropic of Capricorn, it's making its bigger loop. This right here debunks the globe once you understand it. This was taken in the north because the smaller loop is higher because we're closer. But if somebody took the same pictures at the exact same time in the south, the bigger loop would be high and the smaller loop would be low because they're in the outer south.
Okay, so the sun is where? In Earth, I'm guessing you're saying
the
now?
sun is within the firmament. It is being either projected in or, we don't know what the sun is. We know what it's not. It's not a, it's not
93 million miles away is what you're saying.
It's not a burning ball of gas in a space vacuum. Right? It's not a burning ball of gas in a space vacuum. I'm just trying to find where is my
Get him, Dave.
I'm just
what
trying
do we
to show
got here?
you like an animation of what it might be like, but for some reason I can't find it right now. This is here. This is I got a glass dome here, and I'm just passing a light across it. Now, if you watch, let me go back. The light shows up. It just appears on the horizon. Ready? It appears, and then it rises up and over. So this is how we see the sky. So if you're inside this dome, you're going to see the sun rise, and you're going to see it set, and it never goes below the horizon. It just goes to the horizon, and then it fades out. Now, the reason we don't always see it fade out is because the horizon blocks the sun, just like my hand is blocking the sun as it goes away and it sets. Right? It's just going beyond the horizon.
Yeah.
Again, we could spend 5 hours here. I'm going to lose my voice. I got another podcast I got to get to in a little bit. But let me just tell people, don't believe anything I say. If you think the earth is a globe and I'm a nutcase, come collect your 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to take the app challenge. Go to my website, get the app. It's $3, right? And watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, you can even go backwards. You click right here. You can watch the archives, watch them all in one day. And then check the frequently asked questions. And here's the thing. If you do that, you're not going to find a globe proof. You're going to find out that the earth is flat. And you're going to be in a rabbit hole that you're never going to get out of. But it's an awesome rabbit hole to be in because it brings you back to your true power. It brings you back to creation. And one of my favorite things on here is Why the Lie. All of these are being hidden from you. All of these videos. The first 2 videos in there should literally break your mind. So check it out.
Well, if it only leads our audience to ask questions and more questions and always question the narrative, then that's all we really care for at this moment. But Dave, you were a fun guest. I had fun learning from you and being wrong because I am now a true believer.
No, you're
that
not.
The earth
Stop
is
it.
flat.
Don't patronize me. All right. The other thing is
I would never
prove that it's a globe. And you're so proof 3 Bitcoins. I bet you could use that money. Right. And that's how you become a flat earther. You try to disprove it. You try to disprove flat earth and prove the globe. That's how I became a flat earther. And by the way, the trolls are going to show up here so hard like you've never seen before. You love them all, but they're just going to call me a grifter. They're going to say my app uses the Haversine formula, which is a globe formula. It's using GPS, all this stuff, all nonsense. If you know the truth, you'll understand it. But you'll notice all of those trolls that come in and comment on everyone's comments and say all these things. Click on their channel. I call them the globe proof channels because they have 0 content on their channels. They're just lazy trolls. Flat earthers are not lazy. We use our minds.
No,
we actually think. We know your model better than you do. Because if you knew your model, forget the flat earth model. If you knew your model, you'd be a flat earther. Yeah.
Boom. You heard it there,
FlatEarthDave.com. Check it out. Check out the crash course there. There's tons of stuff there. Check out some of my cool t-shirts. Hey, you're not stupid.
Social media.
Stupid. Okay. That's why you can't figure it out. All right. That might not apply to you. That might not apply to you, by the way.
You're not stupid. We're with stupid.
There you go.
Oh, sorry. Just kidding. Social media. Let the audience know where they can check you on
Everything.
Instagram,
all my Instagram, TikTok, all my YouTube channels. I got a YouTube channel called DITRH, stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. It has all short videos. I have my interviews channel. All you have to remember is FlatEarthDave.com, and then just click on my social medias there.
Boom.
Follow all of them. Just follow them. And watch a couple videos. Watch what shows up in your feed. Just watch them. Don't believe anything I say, right? And don't believe anything the anti-flat earthers that have dedicated their lives to hide this information from you. This year is a crazy year. You guys know about the Deagle report? Okay? The Deagle report. They predicted in 2017 that the population of the United States is going to drop by 70% in 2025. Just so you know, okay?
What? So
who knows?
This is coming?
I don't know. Maybe they want us to create it. Maybe it's all about fear. But again, you have to look. You have to understand what we're in the middle of. We're in a spiritual war, and you're going to lose it if you don't understand it.
Agreed.
Okay? If you understand that you are at the center of creation, your thoughts create your reality. You are an incredible, powerful person, but if you're trapped in the globe mentality, that's fear and lack. The only way they can control you is with fear. False evidence appearing real. FEAR.
I think that we've been lied to so long. We figured out a couple conspiracies, and this just brings us and leads us to think and believe these things.
It's not about believing. It's about knowing. I know the earth is not a globe. You believe in Narnia.
Yes.
I know. I don't believe in Narnia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unicorns.
Well, unicorns could be real. I don't know.
Dave.
You know that
you got to come on again.
Real?
We got to.
Check this out. Yeah. Dragon on the app in the images section. This is a 1946 dictionary. Tells you the definitions of dragon. Now rare. Okay, 1946.
Yeah,
they're rare. Weird.
This is not helping your flat Earth argument.
I don't
Dave.
care.
I
don't care what anyone thinks about me. It's all right.
I love it. All right, my man. You were fun. I hope you don't hate me too bad for trying to ask. It's all right.
You're just what's wrong with humanity. That's all.
Agreed. I'll try to get the rest of us to come on board and get the flat Earth thing down.
Thank you, man.
We'll have you on again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you. Bye.
Same. Peace. Flat Earth Dave, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only. Chad, do you feel smarter or dumber for this?
A lot of stuff I agree with. I'm just still not convinced that the Earth is flat. But I mean, I agree with like the whole premise of why he thinks this and why he, knows it, whatever he wants to say. But I mean,
knows it.
Because I've watched physicists debate these guys and destroy them on camera on many videos, like all the stuff. So, but I just don't have the knowledge of physics to sit here and debate about it. So,
well, that and also
I'll go check out his app and stuff. And
right,
I've gone down the rabbit hole many times. I've just still have not been convinced. So, whatever.
Yeah. I do like how sure he is of it. That's kind of cool. But the thing I don't like is you start throwing around numbers and expect like math to be done on the spot. And like, does that make sense? I don't know. I don't have my calculator to fucking get through that.
Like, it's
but yeah,
it's hard to refute when he has all these things that he's spewing out, and you're just like, I don't have enough knowledge to say yes or no on that.
But then also there were things in there that were refuted, and then he hopped. It almost seemed like a conversation you would have with somebody far left and trying to explain thoughts on far right. Like you could say everything that makes perfect sense, and then they just have one little thing. But what about this? And then you got to go and fucking explain that little piece, and it's just like, yeah, I can't fucking prove that the world is flat, but I could tell you why those pictures that you're saying that NASA gives are fake and stitched together, because they are. The Earth is big and they have to, blah, blah, blah. Like there was just a bunch of fucking things. Pictures from planes, me being 12 years old in a plane, looking out, seeing. You could literally see it when you are that far up. I mean, there's tons. The horizon thing, I don't know exactly how that works with, like how far your eyes could physically see, and like with stuff that should be poking above and all. Like I have no idea. But I know that if you could, in a straight line, see a mountain that, should be curved over the world, and you zoomed in on it, it would fucking add up mathematically. And, that's 12,000 miles away. This is only supposed to, it would definitely would. And then his flight patterns, I don't know, man. Like it just, the way the sun, that I've seen, but I just don't know.
Right.
And the moon being a light source. I've never heard of that before.
I mean, what illuminates the moon if it's not the sun? What's the light source from? Or is the moon real?
Yeah, well, he was saying, exactly, because space isn't. So then, if that's in space, and then it's in different phases. I don't know. I like the theory, and I like to flirt with the idea, but it's like you start going there, you might as well be like, the fucking sky is purple. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you could just start doing anything. Plasma, it's an anode. Sun is a cathode. Shooting lasers over flat Earth. I don't know what that means. But I would like to do that. I would like to shoot lasers at flat Earth. Dude, that thing freaked me out. They blew up that thing after they
the Georgia
discovered
Guidestones.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that they had discovered the thing he was saying about the people and Polaris, but I knew that they destroyed them, and I knew about the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, yeah.
So what? So what is their like? What are they saying? What are they saying? Destroyed them?
Someone
bulldozed.
Someone blew it up, and then they bulldozed it. Someone like planted bombs on it and blew it up, and then they bulldozed it, and you never heard anything about it. And that's all. I mean, I know about that, and I knew about the Georgia Guidestones.
That's
they had
wacky.
they had like weird writing saying the population should be 500 million and yada, and it's like several different languages. A bunch of other shit was on there, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Troy Garment, thank you for that. Yeah, he was interesting. He was fun. I love the subject. And I believe that the powers that be would want to lie to you and all this stuff, and like would want all this, but I just don't think they could get along like that and do it properly because they haven't done it with anything else.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that all these countries could agree on to do this. So I don't know.
Bobby, was that everything and anything you wanted?
Pretty good. It was really good. I saw a lot of great comments, people commenting.
Yeah, really, I mean, it was active. Yeah, a lot of comment, a lot of people in there commenting. It was great.
Really active. Yeah, definitely great.
Fun,
great show,
fun dude. Absolutely. Well, we'll do we have anything else this week, Chad? We'll do it. We're gonna get together to do it Instagram, but I don't think we have any extra shows this coming up, right?
Do we have anything Friday?
Maybe. I
think Friday is Jason.
Oh yeah, we do.
Jason Pierce from Our Lady Peace. So remember to tune in for that. The drummer from Our Lady Peace.
And is that normal time?
What time is it? It is at 1 p.m.
1 p.m.
So 1 p.m.
That'll be a fun show. Folks, you're getting too much from us nowadays. We're giving you 2-3 a week. We're going to throw an Instagram show one of these weeks and have some fun. We're going to be moving stuff around. Please share if you're watching. Share. I'm going to try to say that.
Share, like, and comment.
I said every
absolutely.
Boom shakalaka. Bobby, you want to say goodbye to the audience?
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Keep listening.
Thanks, everyone. I got to piss.
The one and only Bobby. Chad, good stuff,
awesome.
dude.